the president, Bonino and Bondi clashed in a meeting in which Bondi alleged that Bonino secretly provided information to the media to damage her reputation, people familiar with the meeting had said. Bonino, in turn, exploded about Bondi, his face red, called her a liar, a senior administration official had said. Again, there is too many smoking guns. So the problem, again, like I said earlier to start the show, the problem is that it doesn't matter because Donald Trump has so effectively primed his base to not believe anything unless he says it. The issue now is that people are not believing what he says because of the promise. So I'm going to play some interesting sound for you from, V from Under the Desk News. I think they have the best breakdown of this whole thing. This shit is wild. And I'm also going to play for you guys some interesting sound from Tulsi Gabbard because it relates to this. And I think that's connected to the response from the Trump administration to try to distract the voters even more by saying it's Biden, it's Obama, it's Obama. So this is the story that V broke last night as it relates to what I just told you about how, yes, they have a tranche of information. Just to remind you. Let's see. The grand jury testimony only makes up a portion of the more than 300 gigabytes of the Epstein-related materials the FBI compiled, meaning that they have it. Among other materials the FBI confiscated included digital and documentary evidence from Epstein's property in the U.S. Virgin Islands and New York in 2019 when he was arrested. Okay, so this is the summary of what he has, or what the Department of Justice has, and I just like the way that V from Under the Desk News breaks this down. So buckle up, friends, because this is fucking wild.
We won't release the photos because the Johns are in the photos. Pam Bondi and Mike Johnson both said this week that they can't release anything from the Epstein documents because they have to protect the innocent. They never said the children. They won't release the photos because the men are in the photos. The men are in the photos. The Johns, the abusers, are in the photos and the videos. Epstein was like Diddy. He had blackmail on these people to ensure that they never turned on him. This is the evidence list that they have for the Epstein case. It doesn't give you the pictures or the videos, but it does give you the contents of the boxes. I have published this for free on my Substack. This is a partial list of all of the evidence that Pam Bondi has access to right now. She had a meeting with Trump back in May and told him that his name appears several times within the evidence. We also know that the Johns are in the photos. When Virginia Giuffre and other victims who had come forward to tell their story participated in the investigation into Ghislaine Maxwell, they had to go through books full of photos and identify for the FBI and local police if it was their body in the picture with the John. Jeffrey Epstein took photos and videos of the women and children he trafficked to his friends, both to hold those photos and videos over the victims' heads and to blackmail the Johns. That is why she will not release the pictures and videos. But no, Donald Trump wants you to just stop talking about Epstein, actually. Well, the only way I'm going to stop talking about Epstein is to talk about one of your other best friends, Vince McMahon, who is also in court right now for allegedly trafficking and sexually assaulting people. And though he continues to deny these allegations, he paid somebody $3 million to not talk about it. And very recently, one of the co-defendants in the sex trafficking case against Donald Trump's best friend, Vince McMahon, has decided to flip and actually help the victims
F1
instead.
In the chat, please.
Vince McMahon also in court for a separate case where he allowed the rampant sexual exploitation of ring boys by one of the announcers. Vince McMahon, the WWE, and our current Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, have all been accused of failing to stop the sexual exploitation of ring boys by an announcer. Children as young as 12 who had a dream of being a part of the WWE were systemically sexually abused by one of the announcers in the 80s and 90s. And they're saying Vince and Linda and the WWE did nothing to stop it. Brent the Hitman Hart said last month that Vince McMahon became a predator and used wrestling as a backdrop for all of his evil. He said Vince will go down in history as just as bad as Jeffrey Dahmer, Harvey Weinstein, or Jeffrey Epstein. If I had a nickel for every time one of Donald Trump's best friends was accused of sexual assault, sex trafficking, or abuse of minors, I'd have 2 nickels.
So Linda McMahon and her husband Vince McMahon just recently asked a court to throw out the charges against them, the allegations against them by one of the ring boys. Linda McMahon is the Secretary of Education, and Donald Trump has referred to Vince McMahon as one of his best friends. Okay. But again, I'm sure that the right's not going to believe that. You guys don't want to hear that. You keep asking about why the Biden administration didn't release the information. The story is really simple because a lot of the information that was acquired was still being used in the case against Ghislaine Maxwell, which means when information is under seal going through because the appeals didn't even end until the 24th of January of last year. Also, the Biden administration did not direct the FBI to do things like Donald Trump does. So you can say I'm lying, TMP. That's fine. I get it. I understand how difficult this must be for you guys. So that we have the list, right? So what V was referring to, I have it someplace. Hold on a second. I think I pulled it up. Okay. So a lot of the information that's on here is I'll just show you real quick. Hold on a second. So what you're looking at, this was posted on the Department of Justice's website, and this is 3 pages of information that they compiled. All this information that they have, and I'll read through some of them. All the information that they have here was in the possession of the Department of Justice when Pam Bondi that said there was no information to release. Well, actually, that's not true. It's a bold-faced lie because we know this because it came right from the Department of Justice's website. So again, that's a lie. And I'll go through some of the items on the list for you. Specifically because I think it's important, and two, it kind of throws a monkey wrench into the entire argument that the information did not exist. And I think even people on the right, even people in here today that are chirping about Obama, are starting to believe it too. Hang on. Okay. So some of the items that are listed here include, let me just pull this up real quick. Hang on one sec, guys. Where is it? Okay, so when you're navigating through looking at documents like this, what I tried to do is some things are on here that we know, but the things that really stand out to me are things like binders with 68 discs inside, one heat-sealed bag, one yellow envelope marked with lots of cash in it, black iPhone with IM3 with a phone number on it, Apple desktop computer, files with girls, files with pictures of women. Where else here? What else have I got? Oh, okay. One banker's box containing bundled photos and CDs from Women Old Photos box, it was titled. 10 black binders containing photos, CDs, etc. One blue in-color bust of a female torso. One red rope containing 2 photos of a female's buttocks. 5 costumes and 1 wig. 3 butt plugs, sets of handcuffs, various other toys, framed photos of naked females, set of copper handcuffs and whips, photos depicting 2 girls, along with cash disbursements, handwritten notes on Epstein letterhead, sheets of paper depicting photographs of a living room, 2 pages of handwritten letters, miscellaneous financial documents, other photographs, other boxes labeled pictures of girls. So you can draw your own conclusions from that. This is what they found. This is what they had. This is information that was made available. This is information that they had that the Department of Justice was in possession of. So for Pam Bondi and Donald Trump and others to say there was no evidence there's nothing else worthy of being investigated, right? Nothing else worthy of being investigated. Well, shouldn't things like that be investigated? What am I listing? I'm listing the evidence. So this is unredacted list of evidence collected related to the Epstein-Maxwell case. Not a complete list because we know it's 300 gigabytes of information. This is probably just a scratching of the surface. The source is still public. You can find it at www.justice.gov/ag/media. I'll post the link. Mods, can you guys post the link in the general chat? Thank you all very, very much. Bankers' boxes full of photos, videos, day planners, flight logs, boat logs, massage tables, blueprints, financial documents. This is what Pam Bondi wants you to believe that there's nothing of value in. Okay? So draw your own conclusions. I mean, you can just draw your own conclusions. This is information that was literally on the Justice Department's website. And Pam Bondi wants you to think that this information isn't worth investigating, considering the fact that we now know that she told Donald Trump that his name was on it back in May, and Donald Trump lied about that. So again, like, you guys can make these claims. There's more here. Keyboard and mouse, numerous boxes, black binders containing CDs and 13 loose CDs, more photographs of busts of women. There's nothing wrong with that, I suppose. But when you look at everything in its totality, here's some more information for you. Let's see. I flagged some of these. One cellophane containing photographs, employee contact lists. What else? Photos, photo negatives, letters, island group, photo album of girls with Epstein and others, photo album of girls, photos of island, documents with names, employee contact list, etc., etc., etc. MAGA, friends on the right, we've got your boy dead to rights. Okay? We've got him dead to rights. He's been lying to you. You were lied to by everybody connected to this whole thing. His name is on the list. His name is connected to this. He was identified by 1,000 FBI agents being tasked with going through the information that they have and pointing out his name. Pam Bondi and others in the DOJ informed him that they found his names on the list. Okay? Now, you guys can talk about Obama all you want to, and we will. Don't worry, we'll get there. I was lied to? What was I lied to about Goldfinger? Just watch, you guys, just watch the chat. Just watch the chat. There's 1,800 people in here, guys. If we could get to 100,000 likes, I'd really appreciate that. And don't forget, we are crowdfunded here. If you want to support the channel, you can do so with the various pay apps. Thank you very much. You don't have to believe me. I don't want you to. I don't care if you do or not. You're too lazy to read this information yourself. You're too lazy to come up with your own conclusions. So instead, you're just going to believe what Donald Trump tells you. And he told you that he wasn't on the list. But then again, he said this interesting thing, which I thought was hilarious. Why would he mention himself as being part of this? So this is some interesting sound. Just listen to what he has to say here.
They were run by Chris Wray and they were run by Comey, and because it was actually even before that administration, right? They've been running these files. And so much of the things that we found were fake with me. And so much of the things that we found were fake with me. And so much of the things that we found were fake.
Okay. So he's admitting right there that he's included the information, but what they found related to me, that's just fake. That's just fake news. That's just a hoax. Nothing to see here. So don't forget, he's included Obama in the creation of these documents. So apparently Barack Obama was really busy plotting a coup to go after the Trump administration and creating a scenario where everybody but Donald Trump is being named in a expose scandal connected to Jeffrey Epstein and the children, right? Yeah, 34 felonies. He's a 34-time convicted felon, Donald Trump, 34 times. So Okay, make your own conclusions. That's all I'm asking. Just make your own conclusions. I know you won't because you've been primed not to believe anything other than what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. I'm going to give you an example of how bad they are spinning things, or how good they are spinning things, or how bad they are spinning things. I guess that's the question. When you go to right-wing spaces, like Newsmax, for example, what you see there is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is going to relate to, now we're going to get into the whole conversation specifically as it relates to Obama, the claim against Obama that he's a criminal. I've got some folks that want to talk, so we'll see. Nirvana, how are you today?
Good. I have one question.
Ask.
All right.
How old are you?
I'm 10 years old, but I know the government like the back of my hand.
Sorry, you can't be 10. I'm alive, my guy. My bad. I'm 10 years old, but I know the government like the back of my hand. Cool. Appreciate that. I'm 10. Appreciate you.
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm 27,
just
to be sure. I'm 27.
Okay.
I'm not 10 years old.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I appreciate your work, man. I think what you got going on is incredibly helpful, and I think we need this dialogue and this discourse. I guess my first question is, do you think that genuinely, with all of the chaos and all of the discourse that we are having about these files, do you think there's ever, do you think that we're going to see progress in 2026?
If people vote.
You think this will actually play a role? Because I'm trying to figure out what is it going to be that's going to be large enough for it to make a difference in 2026? And I really don't know. There's been so many scandals back to back that I'm just nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. We talk about, thank you for the compliment, by the way. We talk about this a lot. I mean, our country has become very apathetic and lazy. And generally speaking, we don't really have good voter turnout for midterms. But if we look at every special election since 2022, the Democrats have won by and large the majority of them. So that tells me, and I'm not a huge fan of the Democrats, but what this tells me is that the exhaustion is not just coming on the left anymore. The exhaustion is on the right, for people having to constantly mentally gymnastic their way to defend what we see from Donald Trump every single day. So I have a feeling that this is going to be let's put it this way. The Republicans are in trouble and they know it, which is why they're trying to deflect and blame Obama for everything. Blame the black man. It's just easy to blame the black man. That's what they'll do.
I think you definitely have a point, and it's easy to, pass blame onto any other demographic, whether it's him, Hunter, Sleepy Joe, whatever,
Exactly. Exactly.
As someone who is on the blue side, I do think that we have a messaging problem in the Democratic Party. It doesn't matter if we pass whatever good legislation, the messaging about that legislation is always lost. So do you think that we can, do you think that that is a real issue? Do you think that is one of the reasons why there's so many, especially young men and young people, that flew away from our party? Do you think that messaging played a role in that?
I do. I think that the Democratic message from the core, from the DNC, has been speaking at voters and not speaking to voters. And I think the right has done an amazing job of that. Objectively speaking, it's something that Trump's always been very good at. Not recently because he's just losing it, but he's always been able to connect with his base for whatever reason. Even though they vote against their own best interests, he's able to tell them that he's their champion. And I think what the Democrats have been missing is, first of all, consistency. So I'll back up a second. The Democratic side, people who lean left, there's a very, very big tent. Lots of different demographics, lots of orientations, lots of ideologies that are connected to the Democratic Party, which is a good thing. The problem is that everybody wants their message to be the front and center message. So I agree with you that it's about messaging, but I think it's about consistent messaging. Like three word phrases on a bumper sticker has been effective for the right for 50 years. Stop the steal, lock her up, fuck Joe Biden, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's not something that Democrats have been very good at. So I think safety, affordability, accountability, things like that, right? Where they have to fight back with a different messaging strategy. Build the wall.
Every single message we have, somebody keeps saying the F word, FASCISM. I feel like now that side also takes that word too. So I feel like every word that we use somehow, even woke, somehow got turned. Literally, when people say woke culture, stay woke, woke was literally to remain aware and be attentive to the world news despite what's going on in your personal life. So I just feel like everything that we try, but you're right. I think we need to get creative. And I don't know if that means younger people need to be in Congress or what that means, but I'm a little nervous because I'm just waiting for the pin to drop, and I hope that Democrats in 2026 figure it out because I'm very unsure.
Well, let's put it this way, Chelsea. If the Democrats can't win the House back, the Senate's going to be tough. The Senate's always tough because of the map. It's just a weird thing. It's just how that works. It's just based on the maps. If the Democrats can't win the House back under these conditions, then they can't win it. Then they'll never win an election.
Then we'll
again,
never get it.
right?
You're right.
Exactly. So we were discussing in my mod chat last night about how we want the Democrats to gerrymander the shit out of states because that's what Republicans have been doing. So fight a little dirty. I mean, I'm tired. I'm tired of playing.
Yeah,
nice.
gerrymander back. You're right. Yeah, maybe we should fight dirty. You're right.
Yep. Because they do it. They don't even apologize about it. They're literally literally going to try to do it now, right in the middle of between the census years. So I say fuck them and let's just take back our country.
Last question since we're on the files and whatnot, 2026. How do you feel about the House recess until September to avoid accountability on these things?
House would have been in recess as of today anyway. So it's obvious. I mean, we know what it is. They don't want they don't want their lawmakers to be cornered by the press, because if you think about the way Congress is set up, that's where the press gathers. So there's press areas of the Capitol. So then anybody would then be subjected to being hammered by the press. So when, especially Republican members of Congress, they can go back to their districts, they can hide a little bit. They're not going to be pressed to answer questions, which is why we're going to keep talking about it every day if necessary.
I think that was incredible. Yeah, I really like that answer. Dude, this is really fun. I'm trying to think, what else do I have to talk about? I am a pharmacist, so if anybody, I guess a lot of the things, I'm licensed both in Arkansas and Tennessee, so a lot of that's why I don't have any pictures on my profile, because I'm not allowed to, and I do not have time for any patients to come and find me, because that does happen. I have liability insurance for a reason. But in my world, everybody keeps talking about the cuts. Medicaid. Have y'all mentioned healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare cuts?
Oh yeah, we talk about it a lot, which is why we have to cover this stuff. But there's also a lot of other things that are happening behind the scenes that we're not going to avoid talking about them. But Chelsea, thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate that. It's good to meet you.
I loved it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day. See you later.
You too.
So again, she's right? I mean, so my beliefs on the reason that Mike Johnson is playing his bullshit card, and I've got some sound from him. I've got so many clips prepared, guys. Again, didn't sleep last night. And I may not get to them all, but I'm going to do my best to try to cover this and break this down for you. So as we were just discussing, the right's strategy now when they're faced with what they're faced with, this mountain of information. Let me just get to Eve real quick. Good morning, friend. Can we shorten things up a little bit today?
Sure, of course.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. You're looking very silver faxy this morning.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Y'all know that I'm here to remind you to please support our fabulous hostess with the mostest. He's our sedaciously savvy strategist that shares stories while steadily sparking sincere. Because facts still matter, and they always will. So if you have the means, let's help Facts meet his gift goal in subwaves. Well, steady feral fist for free in subwaves. Subscriptions are an easy way to show support, and you get access to emotes and sub only with the apps in the link tree of his bio, which is a great way to avoid the TikTok tariff. And you can find the Facts HQ and Discord link there as well. You can reach the HQ via factsstillmatter.site, where you can check out all the merch, which is another way that you can show support, but you also get a little something for yourself. I'd like to remind y'all that Steve is here for over 20 hours a week just on this show alone. It doesn't include the show prep and additional shows he does, and he does that because he's committed to this community and providing a platform for y'all's voices to be heard, like Chels. So please show your love. Absolutely. If you're just looking for that fun-free forum for the Facts family to frolic, then Discord is the place. If the link in the bio doesn't work, try to copy and paste it into a browser or Google. That usually works. If not, reach out to a moderator. We'll hook you up. Now, if you haven't already, please click the follow or heart me up at the top of the screen next to Fax's name. You can join the team for the cost of a penny. You can do this every day, and it helps to keep us relevant and on the FYP. The main thing that we ask of y'all is to interact in the comments as well as tapping your little hearts out. It's always free to tap and share out the live. If you don't have any friends, just click the copy link. It works the same as a share. Lastly, be kind, smile at a stranger, and have a fuck your feelings kind of day.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate you. Talk to you later.
I appreciate you. Whee!
Okay, so now the pivot from the right to try to come up with something to distract their voters. It's not to distract us. It's to distract their voters from what we find and what we have now is, of course, to blame Barack Obama. We went through this exercise yesterday. I did the breakdown for you. The claims that are being made, first of all, so it's like 165 pages. I'm like 105 pages through it. And I got to tell you, there's so much information, first of all, that's redacted in there. And I try to be objective. For those of you that are just joining us, who've never found us before, thank you. Please consider following us here. I try to be objective every single day. I'm gonna call it down the middle. I hope that people, even who disagree with me, would say that's true. There's nothing in there. There's no there. So I don't know. It's a desperate plea from the right to try to avert the eyes of their voters in an attempt to blame Barack Obama for this conspiracy. So this goes back to the 2016 election, right? Where the Mueller report, the Durham report, the Horowitz report, the Senate, the Republican-led intelligence report all confirmed that Russia did interfere with the 2016 election. We broke the whole thing down. We had the entire conversation about the elements of the indictments, the crimes, the plea deals, the confessions, the sentencing, the pardoning by certain people by Donald Trump connected to that. The Mueller report confirmed the information. The Durham report confirmed the findings of the Mueller report, with the exception of saying that the use of FISA from the FBI, that process, they said there were questionable practices to acquire the information. Didn't change the fact that the results they found were confirmed. And then the Horowitz report, in an attempt, they thought that the right thought this was going to blow the lid off everything, also confirmed the same thing. Statement by Marco Rubio, the chair of the Intelligence Committee at the time, said the same thing. That yes, Russia systematically and maliciously interfered with the election. The claim that the right is attempting to say is that Barack Obama ran with this narrative that Russia hacked voting machines and changed votes in support of Donald Trump. Flat out not fucking true. Flat out not true. Flat out not true. The 34-time felon was charged with falsifying business records is not true. They were misinputted. Dom, you're wrong. He's a 34-time convicted felon, 34 separate incidences of falsifying business records. In New York, individually, those would be misdemeanors. But when you do them to cover up another crime, it's elevated to a felony. He is a 34-time convicted felon. There is no denying that. So thank you for playing. Now go sit down. Okay. So there's all this information that is now in the ecosphere of the right. People clamoring for all this information to say this is the silver bullet to take the entire Democratic Party down. Well, wasn't the Epstein files the entire thing to take the entire Democratic Party down? No. That didn't work. Do you think this is going to work? So let's listen to some sound from Tulsi as she's attempting to try to spin her way through this because again, it's wild. First of all, this is a statement from Donald Trump, right? This is again when you're stuck. He is he's scrambling and he's not very smart. He's not able to work himself out of a conversation that he puts himself in because he's just too dumb. So this is well, do I want to play that one first? Which one do I want to play first? Let's see here. I've got so much audio. Okay, I'll play this one for you. He has been meeting recently with Republican congressional candidates in an attempt to remind them that 2026 is just around the corner. They know that. So what he's doing, I did what? You already have the 2020 report, Marco Rubio worked on this topic, right? Yeah, I did, Crow. I read it yesterday. I'm going to read it again. Thank you, buddy. So he is trying to remind. Just listen to the sound, okay? And I'll tell you my thoughts on the other side.
Remember this: Obama cheated on the election, and we have it cold, hard, blue, and it's getting even more so because the stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So. And you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate. Just say, "Oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election." You'll watch the camera turn off instantly. But I want to thank.
So, don't answer the questions when asked about Epstein. Instead, just talk about Obama. So, don't answer questions when your voters say, "Why are you not demanding that this information be released?" Just talk about Obama. Don't answer questions when your voters say, if a bill comes to the floor demanding the release of all elements and evidence related to the Epstein trial, are you going to support it? Don't answer that question. Just pivot to Obama. Okay. That's fine. So then you get Tulsi. Now, I think Tulsi's in a bit of a weird, I'll call it predicament. I don't know what you want to call it. But she is now in a spot where she's got to answer some hard questions. So this is part of the press conference that she participated in just yesterday with her wing person, Caroline Leavitt, trying to help her out. So this is Tulsi.
Today we've released a declassified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice. The records that we released on Friday were ODNI records. Senator Chuck Grassley's release on Monday of what is known as the Clinton Annex, which was an appendix to the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General's 2018 report, as well as the House Intelligence Committee's majority oversight report that we're releasing today, all come back to and confirm the same report. There was a gross politicization and manipulation of intelligence by the Obama administration intended to delegitimize President Trump even before he was inaugurated, ultimately usurping the will of the American people.
Thank you, Cookie. Appreciate you so very, very much. Wow. That's incredibly kind of you. That's amazingly kind of you. Thank you so much for your $100 on Venmo. That's incredibly kind of you. I appreciate you so very, very much. That's amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Brett. Thank you to all you amazing people. That's nice. Wow. Okay. So you heard it. Now, you make accusations that a former president has committed treason, because that's the claim. That's what she is saying. That's what Donald Trump is saying. Donald Trump has also said that he's guilty, got the goods. So in Trump's America, you are guilty before proven it. Guilty instead of proven it. What is it? Innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty until proven innocent. She didn't bring any receipts, Julie. There are no receipts. Because I guarantee, Julie, you didn't read the information that she dropped. I did. And you know what? That's exactly their strategy. They know you won't read it. They know you won't. I did. There is nothing in there that we don't already know. There's literally nothing in any of the information that she dropped that we don't already know. That was already investigated, that was already confirmed by the Mueller report, that was already confirmed by the Senate Intelligence Committee report, that was already confirmed and verified by the Durham report. Like I said earlier, what the Durham report identified is that the FBI should have been more thorough in their verification of the Steele dossier before they got the FISA warrant. But they also said in the Durham report that the information was true and accurate, that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. The claim that Tulsi Gabbard is making is that Barack Obama said that the Russians hacked voting machines to flip votes. That did not happen. Did not happen. No evidence on the contrary. I'm going to read you the summary of what we know, okay? July 23rd, so yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard published an 11-page staff-level report from the House Intelligence Committee, originally drafted in 2017. It suggests that Obama-era officials suppressed warning that Russia did not possess the capability to tamper with vote counting infrastructure while projecting conclusions about influence operations. Gabbard called it manufactured intelligence and alleged it was part of a years-long coup, attempt to subvert Trump's presidency. She also released an accompanying memo and visual aids that juxtaposed assessments portraying intentional contradictions between internal and public intelligence on Russia's meddling. Her allegation was that key intelligence was withheld or downplayed. Even when analysts found Russia lacked the technical ability to alter votes, the public version emphasized broader influence campaigns. Obama officials were accused of intentionally setting up a narrative that misrepresented Russian interference as more direct and damaging than intelligence supported. Gabbard asserts that these actions constitute a treasonous conspiracy and formally referred individuals, including Brennan, Clapper, Obama, and Comey, to the DOJ for prosecution. Confirmation. This is scrutiny and fact-checking. The declassified report aligns with previous released intelligence that Russia influenced the election via social media, hacks, and disinformation, not by flipping votes, consistent with the 2017 Intelligence Committee report. In the information that she dropped, that's what's in there. That's why she knows that you guys won't read it. You'll just believe what she tells you. Gabbard's claim of a coordinated coup is absolutely misleading. There's no evidence of intentional wrongdoing beyond analytical disagreements. The Washington Post describes the claim as based on thin gruel, lacking any substance despite prior comprehensive investigations. Trump and the GOP have embraced the accusations. Trump called for criminal charges, shared an AI-generated arrest video of Obama, and positioned it as a retaliatory move amid the Epstein-related investigations. An Obama spokesperson rejected the claims as completely bizarre, emphasizing the bipartisan confirmation of Russian interference, though not direct vote tampering, from the Senate, the IC, and the Mueller reports confirms. John Brennan called the declassification troubling and misleading. Other officials reaffirmed that there was no political motive to mislead. And congressional Democrats, including Zoe Lofgren and others, demanded oversight on Gabbard's new intelligence office, Directors Initiatives Group, that's what it's called, concerned about partisan activity. So again, this is the category and these are the claims. Gabbard claims that the vote tampering that Russia lacked the capability yet was downplayed. The objective view, intelligence did warn lack of voting tampering capability. In the report, they said they don't have the ability to hack our voting machines. That was in the fucking report. Claims of an intentional deception by the Obama team made by Gabbard. No evidence supporting such. And a DOJ referral requested prosecution of top Obama-era officials. Not going to happen because there's no evidence. You guys have been gotten again. You didn't read the report. I did. Not through the whole thing yet. I got like maybe 50 pages to go. There's nothing in there other than what's already been affirmed. Nothing. Not a thing in there. Not a damn thing. I'm gullible, Gronk? Okay. So we've got a little bit more sound as it relates to this, and I want to remind folks that coming up at 9:30, I'm going to be joined by a gentleman by the name of Bernard Taylor, who's running for Congress in Florida's 21st Congressional District, firefighter, paramedic, wanting to get involved in democracy. He's got a good story to tell, so we'll spend about a half an hour with him coming up at 9:30, so please stay tuned for that. Until then, we're going to break this down, and then we're going to get into Pete Hegseth, because there's even more lies, misdirection that we have, which is why you need the integrity of good journalism. Okay? So, Caitlin Collins, who is really efficient now. I mean, I really respect the way she asks questions. She's one of the few journalists that are left out there. I despise the news agency she works for, but she's a good journalist. So she was part of that press conference yesterday, and she asked a direct question to Tulsi.
Director Gabbard, you referenced the past intelligence reports and assessments on this, including that 2017 one that was signed off, as Ed noted, by every Republican on the Senate Intelligence Community, including the acting chair of the time, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said in a statement that they did not find any evidence of Russian collusion, but they did find, however, is very troubling, and they found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling. One, are you saying that he's wrong in that statement that he made then? And secondly, what would you say to people who believe that you're only releasing these documents now to improve your standing with the president after he said that your intelligence assessments were wrong?
Well, first, I want to correct something that you stated, which was citing the Senate Intelligence Committee's report as being one and the same. I think you said the intelligence community. The Senate Intelligence Committee has a very different function than the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The evidence and the intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable.
No, it's not.
I'm going to let Caroline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First, on Secretary Rubio, he put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos.
Correct.
But what's the outrage in this that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians, all of these lies that were never true. And he also said at that time, we discovered deeply troubling actions taken by the FBI under Comey, particularly their acceptance and willingness to rely on the Steele dossier without verifying its methodology or sourcing. The Steele dossier that many outlets in this room ran as the gospel truth, and it was cooked up and paid for by the Clinton campaign. As for your second question, Caitlin, I think who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in this room who constantly try to sow. Well,
that's interesting that you would say that, Caroline. Well, I mean, I don't want to drag you too badly, but Donald Trump did, in fact, call out his national security director, his director of national intelligence.
No one is above the law.
Because I have the sound to prove it, and I will find it for you in just a second. Like I said, I've got a lot of stuff that's going on. So this was after, don't forget, Tulsi Gabbard testified. So here you go. Here's the testimony.
Intelligence you have that Iran is building.
Hold on. I've got too much sound playing here. I don't know where that's coming from.
Or it will.
Hold on. Give me a minute.
You're going to be prosecuted.
Okay. Like I said, I got a lot going on here. Don't forget the claim that he made, or that there was the question that she was asked was that who's been disparaging you? I'm sorry, I got to find this because I have a system that I go through in my head as to how I want to introduce these clips, and when I get a little rattled, I miss it. So where is it? Hold on. Is this it?
No one is above the law, John. No one is above.
I can talk you through it. Trump basically said that he doesn't believe Tulsi Gabbard's assessment. So there's that. So, and then if we go to the Mueller report, another statement that Caroline Leavitt made, specifically around elements that exist in the Mueller report, she flat out lied to you because she said, hold on. She said that it didn't exist, that the conversation at Trump Tower did not exist. Don Jr., along with other members of the Trump campaign, took multiple meetings at Trump Tower. So we know that happened. So you guys have been gotten again. And I can't help you with that at this point. I can't help you. I can't help you navigate through that. You're just going to have to decide at some point, are you finally going to look at the information? Because what Tulsi Gabbard just did there and what Caroline Leavitt just did there is they lied to you again. Marco Rubio did not come out and state that Russia attacked our voting machines. Never included in his statement. Not even close. No reference to it at all. And then that gets us to how the right is going to spin this now. So Newsmax, I wouldn't call Newsmax a news agency, but this is what you're going to get from the right. Newsmax is criminal in the way in which they report on the news. Okay, I'm so far down the path you can't see it. It's the Dems. Okay, not down with their sickness. I'm so far down the path that I can't see it. There's 2,000 people in here, and you want to make that claim that I'm so far down the path that I can't see it? Really? Just as a reminder, friend. Yeah. But I'm so far down the path, right? That I can't see it? Okay. I just want to make sure we were talking about the same thing. So this is sound from Newsmax, right? Specifically as it relates to the situation with, whoa, that's wild. Oh, I don't want that. What did I do? Hold on. Okay. That was crazy. Like I said, there's a lot going on. Accusations of treason made against the former president by Tulsi Gabbard, by Caroline Leavitt, by Donald Trump. Accusations of treason. Okay? Never mind that the president has immunity. So Kelly O'Donnell talked about this when asking a question to Caroline Leavitt. So this is an interesting non-answer. And then I'm going to play the sound from Newsmax in just a second. It's crazy.
What is the accountability that you would like to see if this current president is the one who brought the case to the Supreme Court and Chief Justice Roberts made clear in his opinion that a sitting president's responsibilities in office cannot lead to prosecution, immunity? So what is it the President Trump wants regarding President Obama, given that fact? And the special counsel at the time, Durham, when that Supreme Court matter was not in effect, could have charged anyone and did not. So on those 2 points, how do you respond?
Look, the president has made it clear that he wanted these documents to be declassified. He wanted the American people to see the truth, and now he wants those who perpetuated these lies and this scandal to be held accountable. As for what accountability looks like, as the director said, it's in the Department of Justice's hands, and we trust them to move this ball forward.
A good non-answer, right? Because don't forget, according to the Supreme Court, a president acting in their capacity, official duties as a president, has immunity. Like I stitched a MAGA Chuds video this morning saying, well, if it's treason, you can't have immunity. Okay. So Donald Trump's a treasonous traitor, right? So he doesn't get immunity then, right? Okay. So I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, because it feels weird that you would make that argument. But anyway, so this is Newsmax. And when we talk about the destruction of journalism, these are the kinds of things that I mean, right? When you literally have a news agency that will grab a lie, which is what this is. I want to be very clear when I say this. There is no evidence, including in the information that Tulsi Gabbard put out, that would support the claims that they're making. There is none. In fact, the information that she put out in a report, once again, because she knows that you guys won't read it. Trump knows that you won't read it. Caroline Leavitt knows that you won't read it. Fox News, Newsmax, Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, they all know that you won't read it. So you're going to allow yourself to believe what they tell you. All you would have to do is go in and read it. Read the intelligence reports, read the Mueller report, read the Durham report, and read what Tulsi Gabbard puts out. Read it. Just read it. And if you can find something in there, like I'd like to think that I'm pretty smart, devilishly handsome, charming, very humble, and I'm smart. Contextually, I understand and comprehend things when I read them. There is nothing there. There is nothing in there at all. Okay? Not a damn thing. Don't believe me. Just go and read it yourself. This is Newsmax's response to this, and this is really fucking scary, okay? Again, I don't give Newsmax much credit, and I don't necessarily like to play their sound, but I think it's wild.
Shake every single American in their shoes. I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016. We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history.
Wow.
James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting on July 28th in the Oval Office. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years. It undermined a sitting duly elected president. It sabotaged administration. It framed a 3-star general. It destroyed and ripped this country apart. We had a constitutional crisis, the likes of which I don't think any American can fully comprehend. It is atrocious, and every single one of them must be held accountable.
Yeah.
So I think when I see sound from Newsmax and when I see experts on Newsmax, I think about Mom and Dad in the Necessary Conversation podcast, right? I always forget their names, like Elaine and Frank. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. But they discuss, they brag about it, that they only watch Newsmax. That's the only thing that they do, and they've admitted that it's basically on all the time. So imagine them sitting there, listening to people that they have come to trust, right? They have come to believe, they have come to trust, they have come to say, these are the people that provide me information because everything else is a lie. They're sitting there today, listening to that, and they have now say, we've got the goods. Totally. Got him. He's busted. Seriously, that's it. Here's the whole thing. This is what we've been waiting for. Boom, 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 boom. And then meanwhile, we know what this is. This is a distraction at epic portions. And let's play this out again. There's something I want to point out.
It should shake every single American in their shoes. I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016. We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history. These
are the most heinous crimes committed in American history? The crime that Barack Obama did not commit is the most heinous crime in American history? So Barack Obama, you know, Yale Law School, no accusations of anything nefarious, no evidence to support it. But Barack Obama committed the most heinous crimes in American history? I think members of the BIPOC community might disagree. I think members of the indigenous community would disagree. I'm just saying. I think victims of these two individuals would disagree. Right? I think they would disagree. Can you imagine being that desperate? That you are now in a position where the only thing you have left to try to save face is to blame him. And somebody said this in the chat. When you sit in front of Newsmax all day, obviously you're going to believe this. It's exactly the point, right? That's exactly the point. So we've arrived at this place now, right, where we've got people who no matter, because again, I think it's very, 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 very true that, well, this has been studied. So it's the headline click, right? So we know that the cognitive dissonance connected to MAGA is real, and they will not go any further than the headline, or in an attempt to verify the information that they have, they will go to their safe spaces. That is the destruction of our democracy from my perspective, because if you are conditioned to not believe journalism, if you are conditioned to not believe the courts, if you are conditioned to not believe the science, if you're conditioned to not believe the experts, then you live in a world of conspiracy. You live in a world of contradiction. You live in a place where the only people that you can believe are the people that you've been told to trust. Right? Hello, I can be critical. I can be critical of Barack Obama. I think the bullshit stunt that he pulled in Flint, Michigan, drinking the water from the tap, was ridiculous. I thought that was a horrible move, and I lost a lot of respect for him because you basically were throwing it in the face of the Flint, Michigan people. I think that was horrible. I don't think Barack Obama was progressive enough. I think he gave in too much in an effort to get the ACA passed. I get it. I know it was legislation required, but I think he gave up too early. I don't think he fought hard enough. That's me being critical of him. You see how easy that is? Now say the same thing about Trump. Bet you can't. So how do we solve this then? How do we move forward? How do we then take the information that we have, connect it to Epstein? Again, I'm going to get back into the document that we have because that's the whole game. Yeah, we're not in an Obama cult exactly. That's the whole ball game. There's no escaping this now. When you've got the goods, when you have Pam Bondi and leadership of the FBI going to Trump saying, "Hey, we found your name on the list." What do you do? How do you explain this? Have you noticed that just in the chat today, they don't want to talk about that because they've been primed to believe what I just shared with you guys, right? That literally, you're right. He's cornered. To say that he's cornered, I think that's a great way to look at it. He's cornered. I'm just gonna read you. Hold on a second. I just want to address something that we're going to be joined in a little bit by our friend Bernard Taylor from Florida, running for Congress in the 21st district in Florida. We'll spend about a half an hour talking to Bernard because I think it's necessary that we are highlighting candidates who are attempting to fight back against what we see every single day. So I want to, something that Caroline Leavitt said, that there was no references, no connections to any meetings with Russian operatives. Again, from the Mueller report, senior members of the Trump campaign, including Paul Manafort, Donald Trump Jr., and Jared Kushner, took a June 9th, 2016 meeting with Russian nationals at Trump Tower in New York after an outreach from an intermediary informed Trump Jr. that Russians had derogatory information on Clinton that was part of Russia and its government support for Mr. Trump. Again, they're going to sit there and they're going to say these things to you publicly because they know you won't look into it. All you'd have to do is read the Mueller report that, by the way, was initiated during the first Trump administration, of which Bill Barr was the AG. And Bill Barr had to spin the narrative because he knew how damning it looked. And what you do for me now, legend? And he didn't want people to be like, oh shit, there is something there. Squirrel. Exactly. I got you, buddy. Thank you. So we have all the information that we need, and they're telling you this. And listen, I'm trying to help you out here. I'm trying to help you out. For Caroline Leavitt and Pam Bondi. By the way, somebody messaged me an FMK for Pam Bondi, Tulsi Gabbard, and Caroline Leavitt. I don't even know if I want to answer. I'll think about it, and maybe before the end of the show today, I'll share my thoughts. They are lying to you because they know that you won't do the research. Instead, you'll sit there and you'll mainline Newsmax and allow them to tell you without any evidence that Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States, is a traitor and is committing treason. That's what they want you to believe because, again, they know you're not going to do the work. So they are mocking you. Instead, Donald Trump tells you that you've been duped, that you're basically stupid for believing the lies about Epstein. Why won't you just, at some point, just be like, maybe I should look into this a little bit? Just go read the Mueller report. Just go read it. What am I doing, Jim? What am I doing? I'm looking at the evidence, Jim. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking at the evidence. Have you looked at the evidence? Have you read the report that Tulsi Gabbard put out? Because I have. I'm not done with it yet. Go through it. There's so many freaking redactions. Just go through it. The information that's in here that she calls salacious and that is a juggernaut of information literally just repeats what was in the Mueller report. Making an accusation does not make it true. That's why you have due process. So I see a lot of people in the chat saying, I hope Obama sues her. I hope so too. I really hope so too. I really, really do. So I don't know where any of this is going to shake out. When do we start calling them the Trump files? Yeah, the Trump files. But the list of information that we have is just, it's the whole ball game. You can't make claims. You can't stand there in front of the American people. Okay? You can't stand there in front of the American people and say, there's nothing to see here. There's no client list. While you are telling people, while you are gathering information from a list, whether it's a client list or an information list or an inventory list, you can't sit there and make that claim. And once again, I don't know if you guys realize this, MAGA. I don't know if you understand this, but you're being mocked. The reason that Tulsi Gabbard can stand there and lie to the American people, backed up by Triple K Caroline, backed up by Pam Bondi, backed up by Donald Trump, the reason that they can stand, Mike Johnson, et cetera, the reason they can stand there and lie to you is because they know you will not look past what their lies are telling you, that you won't do the work. So again, the question that you asked, Scott's a good question. Do you think this is the administration has completely shut down past for whistleblowers? Well, the Office of the Special Counsel is one of the agencies within the government that is responsible for creating safe spaces for whistleblowers. And then Trump appointed some fucking crazy ass bootlicking Trump supporter as his new person in charge of the Office of the Special Counsel. So thankfully that hadn't happened yet, because we're now in a position where we have a whistleblower that comes through. Now, what MAGA seems to think is that anybody in the administration now is loyal to Trump, because that's what he's told you. I'm only going to have people that are loyal. Loyalty is not to you, sir. Loyalty is to the Constitution. Loyalty is to criminality. To have a functioning democracy requires good actors. You can't exist if people are just going to say, I don't care what the rule of law is. I don't care about any of that. I just care about winning, or I just care about owning the libs, whatever that looks like. So I'm not going to say I feel sorry for you, but all you would have to do, like I was on with Gunny last night, and we were talking about this, and he asked me some good questions, and I've already seen it. Like, we see people saying, "Oh, so Obama's going to jail," and then what are the charges? What are the accusations against him? So let me play a little bit more sound from that, because again, we sit in this space now where we've got people that are going on CNN, MSNBC, who are counter programming, Fox News. They're sharing the same lies. So this is just crazy. And even when asked the question, where is it? When asked the question about what the accusations are, nobody can answer. So here you go. Here's an example of that. You're just asked the question to tell us the answer. Tell us the answer.
For what people believe?
Yes, I want to punish them and investigate them.
That is absolutely
It's showing that Obama was indeed the architect of the Russian collusion hoax, because he fed fake intelligence to the media, which served as the basis for multiple smear campaigns against the
What exactly was he the architect of?
He's the one who gave his officials gave the assessment to the media that was derived from the discredited Steele dossier.
What did the assessment say?
The Steele dossier?
What did the assessment say? The IC assessment, what did it say?
The assessment was derived from the Steele dossier, which said that Trump was accused.
What did it actually say? Not what is it derived from. What did it actually say? What was the conclusion of the IC assessment?
I'm not going to regurgitate it verbatim.
I've said it 1,000 times
that the Russians tried to meddle in the elections, that they had done all sorts of things,
exactly.
But that there was no evidence that they had changed the result.
That they changed the vote.
Exactly. Like, she couldn't answer the question. Tell me what the assessment is. Don't tell me what Tulsi Gabbard has told you. What did the intelligence community, global intelligence communities, not just the U.S., not just the Intelligence Committee in the Senate that investigated it, not just Robert Mueller, not just John Durham, not just the Horowitz report, but everybody said the same thing. And when she was asked, I don't even know who that was, but when she was asked that question, what was her answer? The Steele dossier. You've been duped. You've been fooled. You've been lied to. You've been manipulated. I don't know what to tell you. So specifically as it relates to this, thank you, Lori, for subscribing. I appreciate you very, very much. Don't forget, we have a gifting goal, guys, and we've got $40 away from our daily live goal. If you wouldn't mind, help us get there. And don't forget about our subscriptions, because if we get 13 more subs between now and the end of the show tomorrow, we will do another giveaway. We'll spin the wheel for prizes, get an item from the merch store. Also, tomorrow night, another episode of Facts After Dark. So if you don't follow me here, or if you've never seen us before, Facts After Dark can get a little spicy. I'm just saying. Come on back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So specifically as it relates to this, to the whole controversy connected to the claims that the right wants to make now with no evidence that Barack Obama's committed treason. I'll say this to you again. If Barack Obama or Bill Clinton or Tom Hanks or my neighbor or my friend has committed treason with irrefutable evidence connected to it, lock their fucking asses up and throw them in fucking jail. See how easy that is? Similarly, if any of those individuals that I just named are in any way connected with the Epstein list and they get their due process, they go to court, and it's determined that they're part of that problem too, throw them under the fucking jail. Under the jail. Interesting. Cowardly Lynn, every felony was overturned. No, that would require an appeal, of which he lost, and he is a convicted felon. Once again, proving my point that you're only going to believe the headlines instead of actually looking at the court documents to know that when the judge unconditional discharge, that just means you're going to be the president. I can't put you in jail. The conviction still held. he's still a 34-time convicted felon. Sorry, I don't like that. So remember the name Mike Flynn? You guys remember Mike Flynn, right? Mike Flynn is part of this. He is an integral part of this because his name has come back up again. I'm going to play some sound. This is the Debunction Junction. It's an account that I found on Instagram, and I like the way that this gentleman. I'm going to see if I can get him on the show sometime because I just like the way he breaks things down. So I want to play this sound for you because it kind of covers everything that we just discussed. Hold on. The dog is being frisky. Hello, sir. All right, I'm going to play this sound for you, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. And we're waiting for our friend Bernard Taylor to join us this morning. He's running for Congress in the 21st District in Florida. And when he joins, we'll interrupt our show and bring him up. So here you go. This is crazy. Just listen in.
Everybody, this is General Mike Flynn's Twitter account. This is the guy that Donald Trump named Director of National Intelligence during his first term in 2017. And here he is celebrating Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's current Director of National Intelligence. But I got something to tell you about both of them. And that's that less than a year before that 2016 election in December 2015, the Russians paid Mike Flynn $45,000 to fly to Moscow and deliver a speech and sit at a table with Vladimir Putin. And that's Mike Flynn right there. But Mike only lasted a few weeks on the job because on December 29th of 2016, Obama expelled 35 diplomats from the U.S. and also imposed sanctions on Russia for their hacking of the election. And Mike Flynn called the Russian ambassador that night on Trump's behalf to tell him to inform Putin not to retaliate and that they'd smooth this all over when Trump became president in 20 days. And the next morning when Putin didn't retaliate, Trump tweeted out, "Great move on delay by Vladimir Putin. I always knew he was very smart," at 11:41 a.m. on December 30th, 2016. Now, isn't it funny that the accusation is that Obama undermined Trump's presidency, but this is literally Donald Trump undermining Obama's sanctions the day he puts them on Russia and then celebrating on Twitter when Vladimir Putin follows his instructions. But things fell apart a couple of weeks later when reporters got wind of Mike Flynn's call with the Russian ambassador, and Mike Pence here went ahead and asked Mike Flynn what they discussed on that call.
Let me ask you about, it was reported by David Ignatius that the incoming National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn, was in touch with the Russian ambassador on the day the United States government announced sanctions for Russian interference with the election. Did that contact help with that Russian kind of moderate response to it, that there was no counter reaction from Russia? Did the Flynn conversation help pave the way for that sort of more temperate Russian response?
I talked to General Flynn about that conversation. It actually was initiated when on Christmas Day he had sent a text to the Russian ambassador to express not only Christmas wishes but sympathy for the loss of life in the airplane crash that took place. It was strictly coincidental that they had a conversation. They did not discuss anything having to do with the United States decision to expel diplomats or impose a censure against Russia.
And the problem with Mike Flynn lying to Mike Pence is that the United States had recorded all of those calls between Mike Flynn and the Russian ambassador, and the fact that he lied to the incoming VP meant that Michael Flynn could be compromised by the Russians. And that's when the acting Attorney General Sally Yates rushed to the White House. She said that they believed that General Flynn was compromised with respect to the Russians and that it would make him vulnerable to blackmail by Moscow. But did Donald Trump take her seriously? Nope. 4 days later, Yates was fired for refusing to defend President Trump's travel ban. But Flynn didn't just lie to Mike Pence. He also lied to the FBI and pled guilty to lying about 2 different conversations with that Russian ambassador. But like all things Trump, things are only illegal if you're not doing his bidding. And so Trump pardoned Michael Flynn on November 25th, 2020. So is anyone else concerned that Trump's first-term pick for the Director of National Intelligence clearly had Russian ties, and that his current Director of National Intelligence has had sympathetic views towards Russia and has spewed Russian propaganda for years?
Again, choose to believe what you want. Michael Flynn, convicted felon, pardoned by Trump, celebrating Tulsi Gabbard releasing information connected to Barack Obama without any evidence. Michael Flynn, a Russian operative. Tulsi Gabbard, for fucking years, has been spewing Russian propaganda, specifically as it relates to NATO expansion. And we're supposed to just believe them, right? Do you guys care that you've just been continually duped and lied to? Do you care at all? Are you finally willing to admit that the libs were right? Because your choice is really clear, right? Your choice is the libs are right, or I'm going to support a child predator. Shouldn't be that difficult a conversation, right? Really shouldn't. It should not be that hard. So again, I don't know where any of this is going to go. I do know where it's going to go because there's no legitimacy to it at all. The situation with Ghislaine Maxwell, apparently Todd Blanchard, I guess, is going to try to meet with her today. I don't know if that's going to happen. We know the congressional Republicans are fucking scared as shit. They don't want to have to deal with this, which then leads me to the point I was attempting to make earlier about J.D. Vance's trip to Montana. So I talked about this yesterday. These are strictly my opinions, and mine alone. All right? I don't think it's a coincidence that J.D. Vance goes to Montana and then a story in the Wall Street Journal comes out about a book and a follow-up story comes out about the fact that the Wall Street Journal and Pam Bondi through her various news agencies reporting that she informed Trump back in May that he's on the list. I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't. Like I mentioned to you earlier this week, I believe that the plan, strictly my opinion, strictly my thoughts. Okay, I just want to level set on that. And I'm as far from a conspiracy theorist as you'll find. All right, that it was a plan, a directive from Peter Thiel and others. Because don't forget how J.D. Vance became prominent. It was because of Peter Thiel and Peter Thiel's money connected to Silicon Valley, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think J.D. Vance's trip to Montana to meet with Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch, the owners of News Corp, Fox News, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, et cetera, was by design to say, listen, we've got some information here. Can I count on you guys to release it? But do it systematically. Let's start first with the birthday card and the letters. Okay? And because we know that that's going to elicit a reaction. And if we don't get the reaction that we're going to get, then we'll just double down. Well, of course, they got the reaction that they expected, a lawsuit, right? A lawsuit. And again, the judge that's been assigned to hear the lawsuit in Florida was appointed by Barack Obama, just happens to be a gay black man. I'm just saying how the universe has a tendency to work itself out, right? J.D. Vance's plan is, again, my thoughts and my thoughts alone, they're just mine, is that J.D. Vance, along with other members of the cabinet, are done with Trump. They are just done. And they are going to 25th Amendment him. The timing is such that J.D. Vance would have to be inserted prior to January of 2027 so that he can't serve 2 terms. So again, or the other way around. I don't know where this is going to go. I personally believe that Trump is going to be out of office by the end of the year, just because of all this. Because if you think about it from a structural perspective, they can't get anything done. Neil? Okay. Neil, can you request? Because you're probably a bot. Because nobody would be that stupid to make a claim like that. Anyway. They can't get anything done, right? I know, as we discussed, we're always going to find elements to talk about the big, bold, beautiful bill. And now we've got Linda McMahon's connection to this ring boy scandal, this trafficking scandal connected to the WWE. She is the Secretary of Education. She was just in court trying to have that case dismissed. The reporting, as we played for you earlier, they were aware of all this. They were aware of this trafficking predator ring that was happening in the WWE, and they did nothing to stop it. Not a damn thing. Trump can contest the 25th, though, yeah, but he would be the one. He'd have to convince the members of the cabinet that he's not. That he's not. Stop dividing people. I'm not dividing people. Believe me, I'm reporting the news. Yes, he can contest it, but as soon as the 25th is invoked, he's no longer the president. J.D. Vance becomes the president. Then Trump would have to then petition and or ask Congress and or the courts to sort of step in, and I don't know if they will. I don't know if he's reporting his version of the news. Neil, you can come up and talk to me so I can dunk on you mercilessly, but you probably won't anyway. So again, I don't know. I have no idea where this is going to go. I don't know where this is going to go, but I really think the fact that the timing is not a coincidence. I don't believe anything like this is a coincidence. There's just too much going on. I don't think any of it is a coincidence. I just don't. All right. So what did you send me, Victoria? Should I play this? That's true, he said. Yeah, that was from Howard. Here you go again. That's true, he says. Okay, you couldn't hear that? Could you guys not hear that? I don't know why you couldn't hear that. That's weird. He's interviewed by Howard Stern, and he asked him, "So Donald, you know about predators because you are one." And he's like, "Yeah, that's true." So it's far away. I don't know why you can't hear that. Weird. It just may be too loud. Okay. I'm not going to worry about it. Thank you, Fish. So we are now in this space, right, where we've got this overwhelming evidence. We've all known it. We've all known it from the very beginning that he's all over the Epstein list. We know that. We know that the information was shared, that Pam Bondi informed him in May, and their response to try to distract their own voters is to try to say that Barack Obama is a traitor. I don't know how you're going to reconcile this, MAGA, but this case is not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. Barack Obama is basically like, bring it on, whatever. We don't give a shit. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Just watching the comments scroll by this morning has been hilarious. Why don't you guys want to talk about Epstein? Oh, because Trump told you to stop talking about Epstein. Well, then why are you here? Because we're going to talk about it. Yeah, you don't. So what facts am I not sharing? Let's Rosando, facts will still matter, yet you don't know the facts and just tell lies. Okay. Well, I just sent you an invite. Come on up and tell me what I'm lying about. And you won't. I know you won't. I know you won't. You won't show up. Just show up. Just show your face. I don't need you to talk about it because we create content in our show. All right. So the next story that we're going to get into is Pete Hegseth. Because there's reporting now, Hegseth's signal messages came from email classified secret, another watchdog reporting. Revelation contradicts the Trump administration's longstanding claims that no classified information was shared by the defense secretary's account during the Signalgate scandal. So remember when Pete Hegseth went to the mat basically and said, actually, yeah, let me do this and I'll go back to Epstein because I'll take a little break from that. When Pete Hegseth basically said nothing that I shared was classified, well, this is what he said about that. Hopefully you can hear this.
Nobody's texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans because they know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, No classified information.
Okay, so that's cool, Pete. I'm glad you shared that with us. I'm glad we have that on the record, that your claim is that there's no classified information shared. Okay, well, the Pentagon's independent watchdog has received evidence that messages from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's Signal account previewing a U.S. bombing campaign in Yemen were derived from a classified email labeled secret no foreign. No foreign means no foreign actors. People outside of our own community cannot see this information. And then secret is a classification category to which Pete Hegseth just lied about. Okay? The revelation appears to contradict long-standing claims by the Trump administration that no classified information was divulged in unclassified group chats that critics have called a significant security breach. The messages about the bombing campaign posted in at least 2 group chats used unclassified messaging app Signal are the focus of an inquiry by the Defense Department Inspector General's office requested in April by Republican and Democratic members of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Bipartisan, not a Democratic witch hunt, bipartisan request from the Senate Armed Services Committee, the same agency that were divided on his confirmation to begin with. None of them thought he was qualified for the job. It took J.D. Vance to come through and break the tie. So again, an inquiry requested from the Department of Defense's Inspector General's office by bipartisan members of the Foreign Relations Committee, or the Armed Services Committee. Okay? The strike plans had been shared in a classified email with more than a dozen defense officials by General Mark Eric Kurilla, the top commander overseeing U.S. military operations in the Middle East, and then were posted in the unclassified group chat by an account affiliated with Hegseth on March 15th, shortly before the U.S. began attacking Houthi militants, the people familiar with the matter said. The secret classification of Kurilla's email, which has not previously been reported, denoted that the information was classified at a level at which unauthorized disclosure could be expected to cause serious damage to national security. The no foreign label means it was also not meant for anyone who was a foreign national, including senior officials of close allies to the United States. In accordance with government regulations, Kurilla sent his sensitive message over a classified system, the Secret Internet Protocol Router Network, or SIPR net. 4 people familiar with the matter had said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to avoid reprisal by the Trump administration. The messages included a rundown of strike plans for the day, including when bombing was expected to begin and what kind of aircraft and weapons were to be used. The disclosure of the sensitive information drew both criticism and bewilderment because the group chat inadvertently included a journalist from The Atlantic magazine who was a frequent critic of Donald Trump. Well, I've got some sound on that too, because I think it's hilarious that we should play this too. Do you remember when Mike Waltz got busted? That he went out there publicly and tried to say that, well, yeah, it's not really classified. It's kind of like classified light. And it wasn't me. It was somebody else. Somebody else who is the one who literally leaked the information, not me. You can't blame me for that. I've got that sound. Let me find it. Hold on. Is this it? No, maybe I don't have it. I told you, I got a lot of shit going on today. I got to find this, though. It's worth it. Everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. Don't forget about our gifting goal. Don't forget about our subscriber goal. And I think we've got like $40 or so left to kind of get us across the finish line with our target for the day. Anyway, famous quote from Mike Waltz. I got to find it because I can't do it justice. It was just sucked in, right? Remember that statement that he made? Where the fuck is it? I got to find it. Shit. I promise I won't keep you in suspense for too long. So everything crashed on me before I started the show today, and I had to kind of restart everything, so the things are a little bit disorganized. Let me see if I can find it this way. Here we go. I think I found it. Just give me 30 seconds. I promise you I'll find it. Talk amongst yourselves. Just talk amongst yourselves, please. Okay, here we go. I found it. Probably going to be a commercial because it's on Fox. Yeah. All right, I found it. So a reminder that the lies that they have both told that no classified information was shared. Okay, so that's good to know. I'm glad we have that. I'm glad we have that on the record, right? We have it on the record from Pete Hegseth, from Tulsi Gabbard, from John Ratliff from the CIA, all of them, that this information is now, that it's public. Okay, that's good to know. Go ahead, Mike. Tell us about it. Wait a minute. Did they just take the video down? Hold on a second. That's kind of funny. Don't forget about that amazing testimony, that amazing hearing that day where everybody was just like, oh, no, not classified. No, not. Well, we know it was. We knew it was then. We know it is now definitively because that's that's what happens when you are incompetent and you shouldn't be in your fucking position to begin with. I can't fix that, though. I can't help them with their incompetence. That's on them.
I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before, so how's the number on your phone?
National Security Advisor Mike Waltz appeared on Fox News in an attempt to explain how he inadvertently included the Atlantic.
I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where
number on your phone.
National Security Advisor Mike Waltz appeared on Fox News in an attempt to explain how he inadvertently included the Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg to a Signal group chat discussing U.S. war plans.
I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just curious. How's the number on your phone?
Well, if you have somebody else's contact.
Goldberg to a Signal group chat.
And somehow it gets
someone
sucked
sent
in.
You that
it gets
contact.
sucked in.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was
So
on
the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
Who
guy.
was that person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
Despite saying he takes, quote, full responsibility, Waltz continued to disparage the Atlantic and Goldberg's journalistic integrity.
You know, Laura, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but of all the people out there, somehow this guy who has lied about the president, gone to just all kinds of lengths to lie and smear the president of the United States, and he's the one that somehow gets on somebody's contact and then gets sucked into this group.
Oh my God. Goldberg appeared on MSNBC to respond to Waltz's claims.
The simple truth of the matter is on March 11th, Mike Waltz sent me a message request on Signal, and I accepted it. That's the entire story.
Yeah. The Atlantic has published what it described as additional messages from the group chat saying, quote, people should see the text in order to reach their own conclusions.
Okay, so is it classified or is it not? I'd say it was classified considering the source. The reason I think that it's important that we share that information now is because it should show people who are even ardent Trump supporters that their entire administration is run or not run by a bunch of fucking idiots. Absolutely incompetent. All of them. Pam Bondi, I think, is in a very interesting position, right? I think she is really in an interesting position. I think she's trying to do everything that she can to try to help the president. Will I go on TikTok and apologize for what? What am I apologizing for, Tardy? Will I go on TikTok and apologize? What am I apologizing for? I'm curious. I just sent you an invite, Tardy. Can you come on up and talk to me? I don't bite. I only nibble. I promise. What am I apologizing for? I'd like to know. So the entire administration is just incompetent. I think Pam Bondi is doing the best that she can to try to save the president. Whatever reason she has to do it, I don't know. But let's look at the people that we're now talking about. We're talking about Tulsi Gabbard, who the global intelligence community has always questioned her loyalties, right? Don't forget the work that she's done with Assad in Syria, the fact that she's been front and center regurgitating Russian propaganda. You got Marco Rubio, who has flip-flopped every single day regarding visas and students' rights to have, freedom of speech. And now he wants to revoke people's visas for exercising their freedom of speech. We got Pete Hegseth, who shared classified information not once, but twice, and then confirmed by the email that we discovered through reporting yesterday, right? that he, in fact, lied to the American people saying that he didn't share classified information. We've got Mike Waltz, who attempted to say that magically Jeff Goldberg's contact information was just sucked into his phone. And so many of you believe that. And then we've got Kash Patel and Dan Benino, who were freaking the fuck out because they were like, shit, we ran on this. Our entire reputations are based on this. And now what do? It is just one incompetent person after another. And MAGA, because you hate brown people, women, and the LGBTQIA community so much that you don't care. So let's use this guy. You just do not care because you hate brown people, women, and the LGBTQIA community so much that you're going to believe all of it. I feel bad for you. Actually, I don't. I don't feel bad for you at all, as a matter of fact.
Yo!
Yes, Sheila. Yes, Sheila, I did. Thank you so much. Hey, Fish, how you doing, buddy?
What up? Yo, I just want to say thank you to all the MAGA people here. I've never heard, there's a new one today, Libs crying. I never heard that. It hurts my heart.
Yeah, I know. I'm so triggered, my guy. I'm so triggered by that.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
What do we do now that we have the DNI going up in front of the American people saying that Obama is committing treason? We have news stations like Newsmax just blatantly lying. How do we change this? How do we hold these people accountable once it's all said and done?
Well, that's the ultimate question. So the question then becomes because democracy requires people to stand up in support thereof. So the reason that Trump wasn't as successful doing the things that he's doing now in the first administration is because there were adults in the room. People were stopping him from doing some of the shit that he wanted to do. Now it doesn't seem like there is anybody who's willing to stop him. That's where I think JD Vance comes in. That's why I think, again, my opinions and my opinions alone regarding the 25th. Like, I think Peter Thiel's a smart guy. He sees the writing on the wall. He knows that the Republicans are going to get hammered in the midterms next year. Absolutely hammered and destroyed, which means the legislative agenda just stops. So I think what he wants is to try to cool the jets, to have people stop thinking about one fucking scandal after another every single day. Every single day there's a scandal connected to the Trump administration. Think about just in the last 6 months what we have, right? We get more and more information every single day, and more information is going to come out every single day. So he just wants some order. And we know that JD's horrible, but I think he sees him as a potential, I'm not gonna stir the apple cart. I'm not on a list somewhere, blah, blah, blah. I think that is a nod to say we're going to get smoked next year. We want to try to get as much legislative accomplishments done as possible. And maybe if we're not chasing our tail after defending the latest scandal, maybe that's going to allow us to get something done. That's just my thoughts. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. And last thing is, it's funny watching Trump and MAGA in general. It's like the end of, if you remember the documentary from 1994, Terminator 2. Where I do. Where he's unaliving in that molten steel, and he's doing everything. He's becoming everything else. Yeah, he's becoming everything that he's done before. So they're just like, oh no, Obama or Clapper and Brennan, and they're dying. They're dying. All right, goodbye.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, bro. I appreciate you, buddy. Be safe out there today, okay?
Yeah, bye-bye.
You the man. See ya. All right. I don't know if Mr. Taylor will be joining us. If he does, like I said, we'll stop and we'll jump right in and we'll talk to him. I'm going to kind of just sort of detour a little bit because Glenn Beck, for those of you who don't know, Glenn Beck along with Rush Limbaugh were sort of the Breitbart, sort of a little bit, but Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh in particular were kind of the beginning of the right-wing ecosphere that they made their claims on radio, and then they became podcasters. And Glenn Beck is one of those people that is just he can't seem to make up his mind as to how he wants. Bill O'Reilly too, exactly. Yeah, Bill O'Reilly as well. Good call. I know others, but those are the three prominent names. He is now in this position where he's scrambling a little bit. I think before I play that sound for you, though, there's something else that I want to play. Because as we have talked many, many times, the destruction of the support network that is surrounding Trump, and I'm not going to say that Glenn Beck is still not supporting Trump, but what you get now is this lukewarm kind of approach. And then you have other people in the MAGAverse that are full on going directly after Pam Bondi. And I think it's easy to do that, right? Because she's a woman, we're going to blame her. They're not going to blame their boys, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Benino. They're going to go after Pam Bondi. So, and which I do think is wild because she's the one that's kind of, I think, protecting Trump in a way. It seems weird, but I think that's kind of what she's trying to do. So I'll play some sound for you. The first voice you're going to hear is Glenn Beck, and then we will revisit this wild theory that Glenn Beck came up with. It's in a 5-part segment. I'll navigate you through it, but here you go. And I'll remind you as to who the voices are as we go through this.
Pam Bondi needs to be fired.
Glenn Beck.
Who is rolling this out? The little rascals?
Pam Bondi has definitely made multiple inconsistent statements, and I'm sorry, but she does not deserve the benefit of my good opinion, and I'm not prepared to give it to her.
They're covering up.
Tucker.
The DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes. Very serious crimes by their own description. Mm-hmm. Why are they doing that?
Is she stupid?
Liz Wheeler.
Is she so click thirsty that she got out over her skis trying to make news, being a Fox News star? It's either that or she's a liar.
People are absolutely not going to accept just a memo that was written that says there is no client list.
It's not about just a pedophile ring and all that. This is about who governs us, right? For this to go away, you're going to lose 10% of the MAGA movement. If we lose 10% of the MAGA movement right now, we're going to lose 40 seats in 26.
That is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's insulting our intelligence. Like, obviously, the intelligence community is trying to cover it up.
My name is Pam
Laura
Bondi,
Loomer.
and I'm the Attorney General of the United States. But I'm Pam Bondi, the best Attorney General you've ever seen in this country, and I'm going to hold these people accountable.
And Pam Bondi brought me to the White House and handed me a stack of papers. And I got to tell you, folks, it was about as valuable as a bunch of blank pages. It was baloney. It was a binder of absolute baloney. And Pam, if you can't do your job, we'll find someone who will.
There's no client list.
Never
existed.
Tim Pool.
Pam Bondi just lied and said she had one. What?
Make some noise if you care
Megyn
about
Kelly.
the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
How many of you are not
Lauren
satisfied
Ingram.
with the results of the investigation? It looks like it's going to be, and now this is like the who's going to be off the island first, right? This is like who's going to be voted off the island first. I don't know what to believe on that.
Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things, not just individuals, but also institutions, intelligence institutions, foreign governments, and who is working with him on our intelligence apparatus and in our government. This is why it's a time for choosing now.
So yeah. And then I think the one for me that really kind of resonated was Candace Owens. I'll find this out for you too. This is crazy. Candace Owens, of all people, she's admitted that she is a total America First MAGA. She's talked about it being ultra MAGA. Even again, she has been now like, what the fuck is going on? So this is Candace Owens listening to other people in the MAGA sphere talking about this.
How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right?
Don Jr.
It's almost like they're trying to protect those pedophiles for some reason. I can't imagine why, right?
Yep. Don Jr.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it.
Theo Vaughn, J.D. Vance.
Release the list. Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the
You've heard
list of
this sound?
Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
In this case, in Epstein's case,
Alina Habba.
Incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
I'm not ever going to let this story go because of
Dan
what I heard
Benino.
from a source about Bill Clinton on a plane with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not letting it go ever. Ever.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Trump.
This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable.
All of these people are in power now. All of these people could certainly release the quote unquote list. Is it exactly a list? Is it a network of contacts? Is it video footage of people that committed crimes against children? We don't know. And we may never know, which is leading some people to ask the question, like, is Trump actually in the Epstein files? And personally, my take on that is no. But what is your opinion? Because I can't reconcile this Donald Trump with the Trump.
Hang on a second. So this obviously this was from a few days ago. So I would be curious how she would feel now when we know he is absolutely in it. And this is kind of my point. We've got photographs, we've got statements made, we've got birthday cards, we've got Donald Trump referring to Jeffrey Epstein as a terrific guy. We've got Jeffrey Epstein referring to Donald Trump as his best friend for 10 years. So MAGA, much like Candace Owen, thinks everybody else that does not have nearly the level of connection to Jeffrey Epstein is on the list, but Donald Trump isn't. Okay.
That we're seeing right now, the Trump that is gaslighting the public right now, the Trump that I voted for across multiple elections. The Epstein scandal is definitely terminal cancer to Trump's MAGA movement. There's no question about that. I actually said to my husband this week, and we were talking about it, that in order for Trump to get out of this is how bad it is, in order for him to actually make the MAGA base forget this, like potentially move on from Jeffrey Epstein, he would essentially have to come right out and repeal income tax in the United States. And then we would be extremely happy. Everyone would be very happy. And then we'd go, actually, thanks, Trump, but we still remember the Epstein scandal and we want the list. That's how bad it is. There's just no making anybody forget about this Epstein scandal.
It's really interesting, right? Like if he had done something like that, people would be like, wow, no income tax, we wouldn't forget about it. But instead of doing something that would benefit the American people, like to change character, to prove to the world that maybe you're not the disgusting pig that we all know you to be, he instead says, we're going to go after the black man who wore the tan suit. Makes perfect sense, right? Makes perfect sense. Nothing to see here. So, long story short, their world is crumbling and they know it. And they've got nowhere to go with this story. They've got nowhere to go. Because you can see in just watching the chat today, and I know there's a lot of bots, but just watching the chat today, every single regurgitated BS deflection has shown up today. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's cognitive decline, you voted for this, hair sniffing Joe Biden, Ashley Biden's diary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because they can't face it. Because this is what it comes down to me, right? We discussed this a little bit earlier. When you are in the cult, because they are in a cult, when you are in the cult and your entire identity is connected to said cult, you cannot allow yourself to believe one of the lies that have been told about the cult leader. Because if you do, then all of a sudden you question everything. Their entire identity is connected to believing what Trump has told them. Accepting the fact that everybody else is on the list. Everybody else. Everybody else, all the Hollywood elites, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Bill Gates, Tom Hanks, all the rumors, all of that. Everybody else is on it. Everybody else has perpetrated crimes against children. Everybody else. And yet Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump, the man who bragged about grabbing women by the pussy. And years before the Access Hollywood tape came out, E. Jean Carroll describes exactly what Donald Trump bragged about doing. I will be dating her in 10 years to a 10-year-old girl. We know the sound about him walking in on beauty pageant contestants. And yes, there's a point of contention. Well, it could have been the Miss USA and maybe not the Miss Teen USA. Well, I'm going to choose to believe the girls who were in the room when he walked in on them. I'm going to believe the 26 allegations of other women who have made credible claims against him for predatory behavior that he settled out of court. I'm going to choose to believe them. But MAGA, you won't. Because if we go through this process and more information comes out that Donald Trump is in fact, according to the information that we know now, is in fact on the list, that would mean that you support a predator. That you buy his merch. That you buy his sneakers. That you buy all the things that we've told you. You support everything that he does. Are you going to continue to support a person who is connected to one of the world's largest trafficking rings there is? Are you going to do that? I guess we'll see. Banana, how are you this morning?
Good, how you doing?
I'm all right. What's on your mind?
So my question is, right, the DOJ, the FBI went after him immediately when he announced his bid for candidacy in 2020.
Who did?
They authorized the judge that represented two of Epstein's clients.
Wait, let's back up a second. So who the DOJ went after who?
Donald Trump. They started with the NARA archive bullshit.
In 2020, who was the president?
No, when he announced his rebid for candidacy in 2024.
He announced his rebid for candidacy in 2022.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Immediately after. You asked me 2020.
You said 2020.
No, rebid for candidacy. Rebid.
Okay.
So he announces it publicly. Then the DOJ and the FBI go after him, saying that he's got top secret whatever.
No, that's not what happened. You want to know what happened? Nope.
No, I know what happened.
No, the investigation into the documents started the day he left the White House in 2021 because NARA identified that they did not have all the documents back. So that was a year and a half long investigation.
That's interesting because
I've
read the NARA transcripts of the communications between the archivist and Donald Trump, and that didn't happen until 2022.
No, we're talking about the indictment didn't happen until 2022, but the investigation started the day he left the White House because documents were missing.
I wasn't talking about that. Stay on the same page.
Oh, I'm on the same page. What page are you on?
No, you're not.
What page are you on?
I'm on talking about the documents. I'm on the page where your DOJ weaponized a judge.
My DOJ? It's not my DOJ.
Last 4 years.
My DOJ?
Yeah.
My DOJ. So, and let me ask you a question. I'm going to make this really simple for you. Do you believe that Donald Trump is on the Epstein list? Do you believe that Donald Trump's on the Epstein list?
I don't know. I believe in the judiciary system. Do you not?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Do you believe that Barack Obama is guilty of treason?
Can you stay on subject? I believe there's a court.
I will. I will. Do you believe that Barack Obama is guilty of treason?
I don't know. There's a court for a reason.
What court? What are the crimes that's being alleged?
Well, he nominated the judge that actually sat there and refused to release the Epstein file scripts that are closed in Florida.
Incorrect.
He nominated the judge.
Incorrect. My guy, stop talking. There's a process to release grand jury testimony. Are you aware of that?
Yeah,
So why then why hold on.
As of last night, was it rejected?
Stop talking. Why then did Todd Blanche acknowledge to the judge that we know that the conditions do not? I'm not done talking. I'm not talking. I'm not done talking.
You're weak.
No, I'm not. I'm so much smarter than you are. No, I'm
you're
not.
not.
So what? No, I am. So why then? What again? Let me answer the question. I'm going to. The judge was appointed by Barack Obama. But yes,
nominated.
Stop talking.
Stop talking. Confirmed by Congress, you idiot.
I understand that, my guy. That's an appointment that gets confirmed.
Keep going.
Why then stop talking? Why did Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, inform the judge prior to them submitting the request to have the documents released, alluding to the fact that we know that these conditions do not support you releasing grand jury testimony? Why did Todd Blanche do that?
I don't know. Does a private citizen have the ability to stop that?
He's not a private citizen.
Judge.
He's not a private citizen. He's the Deputy Attorney General.
Is he a judge that ruled over the case?
Again, you don't have the information. Why are you so scared and soft and weak?
Dude.
I didn't move any goalposts. I'm addressing exactly what you talked about.
No, you're not.
No, I am.
I was in 2022. You're going back. I wasn't even getting
What am I going back to? What am I going back to?
The judge that authorized the raid on Mar-a-Lago represented two clients of Epstein.
Oh, so you're one of these conspiracy theorists.
Who was that judge nominated by?
Unless Donald Trump tells you.
You're a PDF defender, aren't you?
No, you are, my guy.
You are.
You voted for Trump, right?
No, I voted for Trump, not the guy.
Exactly. Oh my God. Oh my God. Fucking desperate they are. They are so desperate. My God. Like, what? So I'm going to just read you guys something because I prepared this yesterday. Let me see if I can find the right one because I did a lot of research into this in regards to the grand jury testimony. What's required for a judge to release it? I think I have it right here, potentially. Do I have it? And you know what he's doing right now? I own the lib. He didn't want to talk to me. I owned him. I own that fucking lib. Oh, this is going to be fun over the next 5 weeks. Fun in a sadomasochistic kind of way. Speaking of that, please join us for Facts After Dark tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not yet a subscriber, please inform us. Okay. The DOJ under Attorney General Pam Bondi, appointed in Trump's term the DOJ under Attorney General Pam Bondi has made a request to the judge to release jury transcripts. In July 2025, during the Biden to Trump transition, the DOJ requested a court to unseal grand jury transcripts from the Biden and Maxwell prosecutions, citing public interest. Federal Judge Paul Engelmeyer and Richard Berman questioned the DOJ's basis and asked for more details by July 29, balancing transparency against victim privacy and legal standards. The DOJ, led by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, initiated direct outreach to Maxwell in prison, making a first ever move to interview her for potential cooperation regarding unknown offenders. Federal prosecutors emphasized there's no new evidence targeting additional parties, but acknowledged Maxwell might offer valuable details. Maxwell's counsel confirmed ongoing discussions. House Republicans also investigate via subpoena. Some supporting evidence from the Maxwell investigation has already been declassified. The core grand jury materials remain sealed pending court authorization. For the first time, Maxwell is being approached by federal prosecutors for possible cooperation, though she hasn't been publicly provided new information yet. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on. Rule 6 E2 prohibits disclosure of any matter occurring before the grand jury, includes witness testimony, exhibits, verdicts, or jury votes. This rule binds jurors, reporters, attorneys, interpreters, and other participants. Rule 6.3 permits disclosure within government attorneys for the U.S. for the government, the DOJ, that they can share grand jury materials with each other as part of their duties. Disclosure to others only by a court order. A district court may unseal grand jury materials under Rule 6, but only in limited situations, and they are judicial proceedings, for example, to support a motion to dismiss or a related proceeding. That doesn't exist. Foreign prosecutions, if requested by a foreign court or prosecutor, that doesn't exist. And then military justice. None of those conditions were met. Todd Blanche, in his reach out to the judge, stated that. They still asked, and the judge said no. So, again, go back to your conspiracy hole, stick your thumb in your mouth, and shut the fuck up, because the adults are talking. Thank you. Appreciate you. Like, you guys. Good morning, buddy. What conspiracy theory would you like to tackle today?
Well, I would just like to point out that that judge was also once seen in a tan suit getting a slice of pizza.
My God, I know. Holy shit. Thank you, Sheila. Brett, buddy, if you're still in here, thank you again. I appreciate you very, very much. You're amazingly kind individuals. Appreciate you guys.
I'm trying to do the mental gymnastics that requires me to understand how someone that isn't able to even articulate their own position tells you that you're wrong and that they understand, because they think they have these gotcha moments in which they don't have anything because they don't even understand the context of their own talking points. It's truly sad. And of course, this is what happens when you're in a cult, right? But yeah, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
You know, here's what I find fascinating. Your DOJ. Why didn't Biden do this? Well, Biden didn't because all of the court records were under seal. And again, Biden follows the rules, unlike the current administration. So it's under seal, meaning they know, as this judge just pointed out most recently to the DOJ, they don't have standing or reason to unseal because it's going to cause harm, right? And yes, Scout, exactly. Mega's dumb. And they want to keep coming up here and acting as if, oh, well, I read it. And I would like to remind everyone of a couple of things that it's taken me about 40 years to really learn. Just because I read a document that is written in the English language does not presuppose I actually understand the document. Here are some examples. Regulatory laws, court documents, judges' opinions. Why? Because I didn't go to law school, so I don't have the proper context and understanding of being able to appreciate the fact that while written in English, I have not had the training nor the education to actually understand the context that's being laid out before us. So before you come up here and make some specious claim about our DOJ or why didn't President Biden do this or do that, while claiming you like to follow the letter of the law, see hypocrisy and irony simultaneously, because the fact of the matter is that you're all a bunch of fucking hypocrites because you don't respect the rule of law, number one.
Correct.
And number two, you don't even understand how it works, right?
Correct.
Just because a judge is nominated by someone does not make them beholden to Trump. Just because you see the Supreme Court doing that on behalf of Trump doesn't mean that every other judge doesn't act with a moral compass that doesn't point to their pocketbooks while they're being taken out on expensive trips by such people go ahead.
I want to give Deuces Wild a shout out. Deuces Wild, the comment of the day. There's a list. Dems are on the list. There's not a list. Dems created the list, forgot the list. Trump's on the list. Yes, hearts in the chat for Deuce is Wild, because that's exactly right. That's the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Sorry, Obi, go ahead.
Yeah. So what I really wanted to come up here and say was, I can barely move. And
yeah, congrats again to you, buddy. Good for you.
Thank you. And listen, if you are my age, which is older than our sexy, silver-haired, foxy host, that would be 58. And you decided that at this stage, joining a combatives class to be part of a volunteer community that provides armed security. Keep in mind that when you're doing these mat exercises and boxing exercises with young men who are between 20 and 35, be prepared, because the pain isn't immediate. And I tried rubbing some dirt on it and then spit on it, and then I tried to walk it off. But, you know, if you pick up a bag full of stuff that weighs a pound and your arm starts shaking, you may have found your limit. So, dear Mega, here's why I'm saying this. This is the parallel. When are you going to find your limit?
Hey, Rainey, all of my pay apps are at Factsstillmatter. You can find them on Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. Thank you very much for asking. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
I am still offering 50-cent autographs for my Chaps photo, by the way. Just, you know, why about
50 cents? With a tariff, that's going to cost you like $3.
No, I'm paying people 50 cents.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Let me, I just real quickly, I just asked ChatGPT to do a summary on the Mar-a-Lago situation, because I want to show how easy it is to dunk on conspiracy theorists like we had up here previously. Everything that I stated, by the way, was exactly accurate, because I would not say it otherwise. Everything he stated was fucking nonsense. This goes back to January 20th of 2021. This is a quick summary. Let me just get through it. Trump leaves office and relocates official papers to Mar-a-Lago. May 2021, Archives spot check reveals missing documents. Trump's lawyers produced 2 boxes with communications with North Korea, prompting warning letters from NARA. January through June of 2022, January 17th to the 18th from 2022. So again, the investigation started back in May of 2021, within months of him leaving the office. It actually started when they were gathering the documents when he left. They officially notified the Trump administration that documents were missing in May of 2021. January 17th to the 18th, 2022, NARA retrieves 15 boxes, including 184 classified documents up to top secret SCI. March 30th, 2022, FBI opens formal criminal investigation, Plasmic Echo, into mishandling of classified documents. May 11, 2022, DOJ issues grand jury subpoenas for any remaining classified materials. June 2nd to the 3rd, 2022. Lawyers discover 38 additional classified documents. Legal tussles ensue. Surveillance footage shows attorneys moving boxes around Mar-a-Lago basement. August through December of 2022. DOJ obtains search warrant. FBI visits Mar-a-Lago. August 8th, 2022. FBI raid seizes over 300 classified documents, including highly sensitive nuclear and foreign intelligence materials. August 12th, 2022. FBI warrant and partially redacted affidavit publicly released. September 2nd, 2022. Inventory list is unsealed, reveals trays, folders, and folders of mixed classified content. December 7th, more classified docs found at Trump's storage facility in Florida and handed over. November 18th, Attorney General Garland appoints Jack Smith as a special counsel to lead investigation. December 1st, appeals court halts special master review. DOJ regains access to documents. December 12th, Judge Cannon dismisses Trump's lawsuit for lack of jurisdiction. June 8th, 2023, Trump indicted on 37 federal charges: retention, obstruction, false statements related to Mar-a-Lago documents. June 13th, Trump surrenders and pleads not guilty. July 27, superseding indictment adds 3 more counts. July 23rd, 2023 through July of 2024. Judge Beryl Howell notes discovery of 4 classified docs in Trump's bedroom 4 months after FBI raid, reinforcing obstruction charges. July 15th, 2024, Judge Aileen Cannon dismisses classified documents case, ruling Smith's special counsel appointment unlawful. August, you very much. Have a nice fucking day.
Yeah. Now, so imagine.
I mean, That's the entire timeline, you tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. Now tell me again, the judge who's appointed to that case, the judge appointed to that case was appointed by Donald Trump, and her name was Eileen Cannon.
Yeah.
Okay? So miss me with your fucking nonsense. Thank you. Obi.
So just because the DOJ wants to have something doesn't mean they're allowed to have something. This is something else that MAGA doesn't understand. Stop saying you're for the rule of law. Stop saying that you're originalist. Stop saying that you believe in the Constitution. But then as soon as all of those levers are being pulled and are working in a manner they're supposed to work, the result may not be what you had hoped for, but that doesn't mean there's a conspiracy theory. And I think all of this is going to come undone at the seams, and we've got to keep the pressure up on all of the Epstein business, because this is the most important. And by the way, I did hear earlier, Scout, there's no more salami or cheese. Go away. I did hear earlier when you were talking about your theory on Peter Thiel and eyelashes, and I do believe that there is something there, and that you are right. And you've talked about this multiple times. We've talked about this. This has probably been the plan. I just don't think the glide path was thought of to be so abrupt. Right.
Agreed.
But because Trump is so mentally unstable, I believe he's having a mental health crisis, right? Because a narcissist would never seek help, and a narcissist would never in a million years admit that they need therapy. By the way, side note, if you are an adult and you've not sought therapy, and you have the means to do so, and you feel like it's something you would benefit from, please, for the love of everything and for the love of the people that appreciate you and want you to be around, go do that. Go get that therapy. Go talk to somebody. Don't be Trump, right? And I think this is another one of those themes that we need to keep having is, I like the Christians would always ask, what would Jesus do? Well, we know that in the MAGA world, Jesus apparently is a racist and a bigot, wasn't an immigrant, right?
Socialist.
Right.
Yeah.
And this disconnect, like, I can't even say it's cognitive dissonance, because I think it goes beyond that, right? It's beyond a simple definition that we could throw out. The desperation to need this narrative to continue to further enhance your belief that you have been a victim because you're a white Christian, and that white Christians are victimized around the world, and that only white Christians suffer, has been a lie that's been sold to you for over 40 years, and you still believe it. At some point in time, when Trump is kicked out of the White House, and I do believe I think we're within 90 days. That's my guess.
I don't think it'll be that short, because you've got to get through the, you got to get through the continuing resolution, which the vote comes up at the end of September, and I think there's going to be a lot of shit going on. I don't think it'll be that short, but I think it's by the end of the year.
Okay. Well, yeah, sure.
Christmas present to the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion that these dribs and drabs that are coming are purposeful, right? And it's 1,000 cuts, right?
Yeah, and somebody just asked the question about the midterms, and that's specifically why. Yeah. Because a Trump endorsement is like cancer now for Republican members of Congress, which is exactly why I think Mike Johnson sent them home. Like, I think I look at this, and Obi knows this about my brain. I always think about this from the strategy perspective. So what's the strategy? What would be the reason that Mike Johnson would want to and Congress and send everybody home. It's because he's trying to protect his caucus, because they're going to get hammered every single day by the press corps in DC as to why they're not moving more on getting more information from the DOJ regarding Epstein. So they can go home and likely hide on their farm or in their townhouse or wherever and not be subjected to the press. Also, they might attempt to try to go fundraise a little bit in some of their communities, because they're going to need that for the midterms. If they stay in DC, they're going to be scrutinized. There's going to be more sound bites, all these things. And then the Democratic machine, even though I despise the Democratic machine, could use those sound bites for campaign ads. So I think there's a strategy there as to why he sent them home early. It looks bad. We know that. And it's lies to say, oh, yeah, well, it's the Democrats that have manipulated the information. Okay, Mike, whatever. Tell them whatever you want. People are seeing through it. People are seeing through it.
I don't think the press is going to stop.
No, but I mean the gaggle, like the press gaggle that would be in DC every single day. That's what I'm talking about.
Sure, but I think when the people go home, it's going to get worse for them, right? Because it's not that I don't want to say that MAGA is going to turn on them. I don't think it's a turning. I think it's part of their desperation, right? They so need this not to be true. They're yearning for them to tell them something. So the more that they ignore their constituents, the more that they don't directly answer the question, the angrier they're going to get. And that, in my mind, is way worse than the DC press corps. And may I just fucking add, I have never seen so many cowards assembled than I do at the Washington, D.C. press corps. Not a single one of them has a moral compass or the ability to show honor and courage in asking questions, right? And when they are kicked out, all they do is they lick their wounds. What I would do if I was the Wall Street Journal and I was kicked out and I was, say, owned by the same guy that owns Fox News, I would go to Rupert and be, hey, you know what? The Wall Street Journal has decided that we're going to bring our TV show back that we had in the late 70s and early 80s, and we want you to broadcast it. And we think it's really important. And it's going to be an editorial panel. And here's the kinds of stuff we want to do. And Rupert would be a genius right now, right? Because it'd be like, oh, you want to do a lawsuit? Bring it on. Also, hey, Mega, by the way.
Lachlan at this point, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Right.
Yep.
When you sue somebody, right, guess what happens? You get to present your information, but they get to ask you questions too.
Discovery.
Which means, yes, that's where I was going next, right? So you think that Trump is in a strong position because he sues, but in all actuality, what we've seen is when people like Bob Woodward fight, we see how incredibly weak and frail Trump is because he can't go through the discovery process. He just can't do it. One, because he'll plead the fifth the whole time, right? And then he'll have to end up settling. So I want to see journalists hammering KKK Caroline, right?
Agreed. I mean, there's been a few. I mean, what I've noticed is that the questions are much more directed at her responses to things. Like, you said this, Caroline. You said this, Tulsi. You said this. Please help me understand that. That's a good line of questioning. So I agree. By and large, the entire press corps is cowardice and weak, and we know what happened with Stephen Colbert, and I probably haven't talked enough about it. He's right. It was a bribe. That's what CBS and Paramount did. There's no doubt about that, so that Trump would not stop the Skydance sale. I get that. So there's a lot of other journalists. That's why I believe in print journalism as opposed to broadcast journalism. That's the story from The Atlantic, for example, the story from the Wall Street Journal, the story from the New York Times, The Atlantic, Politico, etc. You want journalism? Read it. Right? Now we get people like Dog Mom in the chat saying fake news warps your mind, Trump forever. And of course I sent Dog Mom a request to join us. And of course Dog Mom is too cowardice to join and actually address what we've been talking about every single day. I can't help people with that. Like I can't help you with that. That's why we're going to talk about this every day because Donald Trump told us to not talk about it. So I'm going to do you a solid, Donald. I don't think I've done this yet today, by the way. Donald, JD, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bonino, Tom Homan, ICE officials, John Ratcliffe, whoever you may be. I'm Steve, also known as Factsstillmatter. I'm here every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till noon. Fuck you. Have a day. Okay. What I want to do now, I talked about Glenn Beck a little bit earlier, and this might be a little bit long, but the reason I want to play this for you, and I tried to assemble these clips, I had to clip them all because it became a little bit complicated. Anyway, Glenn Beck is one of those people that I was discussing who's a flip-flopper. He literally goes back and forth. So before I play this series of things, because he's got 5 theories as to why the DOJ has not released the information connected to Trump. It's pretty wild, but this is him on with Steve Bannon. This is nuts. The two of them together is just crazy, but here you go.
One thing they get furious about is,
I'm pissed.
And Pam and Kash are as good as you get. What's the problem? Your audience the same way, they're steamed.
Oh, yeah. You could do an awful lot of stuff, but until you start putting bad guys in jail, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
And a sense of urgency. It's not like we have this forever.
No.
I mean, if Hakeem Jeffries wins in 18 months, which is not outside the possibility to raise $2 billion,
we're done.
They're going to impeach Trump.
We're done. So where is the DOJ? Okay, I know Kash quite well. I believe Kash. I don't know Pam. Okay, that I'm not throwing dispersions on her, but something's not right. Why aren't you unleashing? Is it the deep state has them by the throat? What is it? But it's got to be solved. You have no.
Is that a message that you think I don't want to get into your private conversation with the president, but is that something you would highlight? That?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You think there needs to be a sense of urgency about this?
What does any of it mean?
Why is Congress taking so much time off right now? Traditional 2 weeks of vacations or 2 weeks back to constituents where they don't have town halls?
I don't know. I mean,
I told you why.
Because collectively they're good people, but as a body,
they're horrible.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to get into this. I've got a few more other folks that have requested, so let me bang some of these out, and then we'll get back to it. I'm not sure your username, friend. BRW. What's up? How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So I was, obviously I love the stuff you do. It's really helpful. I listened to your live for the first time a couple of days ago, and I tuned in at the point where you were talking about, like, stop trying to connect with these people, right? The people on the other side of the aisle. And I've got a couple of friends in college who support this guy. I've got, like, my coach happens to support this guy. One of my coworkers today, I was telling him what I do, like, the kind of stuff that I listen to, and he's talking about, I listen to Tucker Carlson, tune into Ben Shapiro. I guess I want to know at what point, where's the line where I just give up on these guys and tell them to, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, ultimately that's up to you. I don't know where the line was for you, or I should say, I don't know what the line is for you. Like, is him being a sexual, adjudicated sexual predator? Is that enough for you to say these people continue to support him? I'm done. The fact that he has sexualized his own daughter, the fact that he said he's going to be dating a 10-year-old girl in 10 years. I mean, those are just those things. Then there's the criminality, and then he's obviously connected to the Epstein list. Like, shouldn't that be enough?
I mean, it's been more than enough for me for years since his first term. But I mean, it just gets
right. But I mean, your willingness to continue to have relationships with those people if they still support him.
I guess the only thing that I'm trying to hold on hope that they're just misinformed and not, like, stupid or bigoted. I haven't talked to them about it.
But I mean, what's your username? What can I call you? Can I call you Joe, or what should I call you?
You can just call me Luke. This is a randomly generated username.
Okay, Luke. So they are misinformed, right? But that's not an excuse. So when they're, the problem, like we discussed this earlier, the problem with people that are in the MAGA cult is they're only going to believe what they're told to believe. So they're now being told to believe that Barack Obama has committed treason. They were told to believe that a list existed. Then they were told that the list didn't exist. Then they were told that the list was created by Democrats. Then they were told that Trump wasn't on the list. Now we know that he's on the list. And now they're being told that that is a made-up plot by the Democrats. So the question I have for you, there should be more than enough information that you know to be true for you to say, I'm done. Family is a different dynamic. I get it. But it's up to you. I mean, ultimately, it's up to you. I'd like to think you sound like a pretty reasonable guy. I'd like to think that you have enough information to say, you know what, you guys, I'm done. I'm done. Because if they are still supporting somebody who has said what he has said about women in general, like literally saying that he has sex in common with his daughter, bragging about grabbing women by the pussy and then doing it, bragging about walking in on young girls in various states of undress, that's got to be enough, right?
No, most definitely. Honestly, I think this is just a character flaw where I'm like, I can fix them, but
don't try. Don't waste your time.
And you're right. It's really unreasonable. I think if it gets to the point where if I can like discuss it with them and they recognize that these things happened, it's just not worth it. I can keep up appearances, but
yeah, you're not obligated. You're not obligated, Luke. And I get it. You know, I can hear your desire to try to help flip the script, but you're not obligated to do that. You're just not. You don't have to engage. You can just decide I'm not going to talk about it. Like especially if you're on a team. Like I think about NFL locker rooms or college Division I locker rooms where there's a lot of people that are divided politically. Maybe they just have a deal where they don't talk about it. That may be the solution. I don't know. Certain people, whether it be professionally or personally, you might have to coexist. Doesn't mean you have to engage.
Do you think that because I was talking to my roommate about this yesterday. He's going to come over to like our apartment and play poker tonight or whatever, because he's my roommate's old friend, whatever. Disregarding that my roommate is still friends with him, right? I was talking to him and I was like, hey man, if I discuss politics with this guy, you need to keep me in check because I'm going to be mean to him. I'm going to be rude. I guess we're getting a bit personal, but he complains that he doesn't have a girlfriend.
Gee, I wonder why.
And I don't want to say that because it's a personal attack. It's not relevant, but.
Or you could say, have you thought about why maybe you don't have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Man. Does he list it? What's his dating profile look like? Has he got a red hat?
He posts often on his Instagram page just incredible, crazy things about alligator. You know what? The redder the better.
There
you go. He wakes up and he listens to the Charlie Kirk podcast first thing in the morning.
There you go.
I don't know, man.
Are you familiar with the term the male loneliness epidemic, Luke? Are you familiar with that term?
Incredibly familiar. I'm in psych right now, so we kind of talk about it a lot.
Okay, so then I personally believe that it's self-inflicted. So your friend's friend complaining that he doesn't have a girlfriend while he's posting horrible things about alligator Alcatraz on Instagram, could you maybe think that those two things might be related as to why he doesn't have a girlfriend?
I absolutely think that. I just don't want to tell him that because I feel like it's a bit rude to a person who, I mean, like I helped this guy on his fitness journey. You know, he's getting into shape a little bit better and he thinks that that's why. Like I've got some kind of relationship with him.
I get it. I understand that. I mean, you sound like you know what to do, and I think you're just trying to find out the best way to do it.
Yeah.
There are ways, like I've said, and I know my friend here, Obi, I'm not interested in reaching across the table to that. I am not going to do that. If somebody comes to me and says, listen, I was wrong. I was really wrong about this. I am really sorry. I want to repent. These are the kinds of things that I want to do. I'm going to say, okay, then fucking prove it. Don't just tell me you're going to do it. Prove it. That's a conversation I'm willing to have. That conversation I'm willing to have. Yeah, but you got to show me. You can't just tell me. In your case, if you're going to have to be sharing space with this individual, maybe it's best to disengage. I don't know. I mean, I hear you. I mean, ultimately, somebody just said this. You would be helping him by calling him out, quite frankly. He may not see it now, but because don't forget, history is not going to forget this moment, right?
No.
So people looking back on this in 10 years, don't forget the Instagram, social media is forever. So in a year, he might decide to have kids, and all of a sudden his social media profile shows up and be like, Dad, you supported that shit? Really? You supported that?
Yeah.
Crazy. I have a friend of mine who works in this space who wanted to talk to you. Are you cool hanging out for just a minute?
With me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool to stay here.
Yeah, she's a friend. Hi, Amber. How are you?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Luke, do you mind if I give you some advice?
Please do.
Okay. So, does this person say derogatory things about women and minorities in your presence?
To just answer the question, yes. He can hide behind it like it's a joke, though.
So, do you call him out when he does that?
No, because it would inevitably lead to political discussion.
So, I'm just going to tell you as kindly as I can that
I think I know what you're about to say, and you're right.
That's your first mistake.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it leads to a political discussion or an argument, that's the price you have to pay for doing the right thing by calling that behavior out, because no one's ever going to change if their peers, people that they respect enough to spend time with, don't call them out on the things that they're saying.
Man, I mean, you're 100% right. I think I'm kind of just running from the discussion with him because, I'm probably being a bit cowardly about not wanting to approach the discussions with him. And honestly,
I get that. It's really hard. Like, we say these things in theory, it sounds easy, but once you actually get into the situation, especially with people that you know and they come to your house and you spend time with them, it's very difficult. Like, I totally get that. We all have been in situations where we wish we said something, right? But if you're concerned enough about this to bring it up here and say, what should I do? Then you're going to have to, no offense, you're going to have to toughen up and start calling this out.
I mean, you're definitely right. And I maybe another reason, if I'm trying to make excuses for myself, honestly, until recently, I mean, I drive for work. This is what I started to listen to for it. I mean, I think I'm more educated now to speak on it. At this point, I definitely don't have any excuses, and I probably didn't before either.
It's just easier to avoid it, right? Like, it's more comfortable.
It is, Luke, like we always talk about, the reason that's the statement, it's all men until it's no men, is kind of an example of what Amber's talking about. And we're not piling on you here, but if we're going to try to change behavior, then we got to call it out. Like, if you're hearing your friend's friend saying derogatory things about minorities and women, then you got to call it out. Like, otherwise you're almost perpetuating the problem.
Right. Steve is absolutely. This is why, like, those mean, angry feminists that people hate so much we get so much pushback when we say it's all men until it's no one. But this is exactly what we're talking about, that Steve just mentioned, that if you're not calling it out, that means you're kind of enabling it in a way. And that's why we say that, because if the good guys, quote unquote good guys, aren't pushing back on it, then they're no better than the ones that are saying it. They're just letting the moment pass by. There's no opportunity for you to stand up for marginalized groups. There's no opportunity for that person to learn. There's no opportunity for that person to be uncomfortable with the things they believe. Right?
Yeah, and also, Luke, I mean, because we identify, how old did you say you were? 22? Is that what I heard?
I'm 19.
19. So, because you're obviously, being a psych major, your generation in particular, the Charlie Kirk effect, the red pill effect, the manosphere effect, it's people like you that the rest of us need, in particular, women need to push back against this stuff, because it's your generation, especially the men in your generation, that are being red pilled, right? So it's voices like yours that say, listen, this is not acceptable. This is just not acceptable. How you navigate that becomes an individual thing. But I'm with Amber that, unless we're calling this shit out, it's not going to change. And ultimately, you may not change many minds, but if you change one, that's kind of worth it.
Well,
right?
And here's the other, I have a son your age, Luke. Here's the other thing too. Like, there is something in this for you as well. Like, not that should be your main motivation, but if you are the person calling out that bad rhetoric and that bad behavior, the people around you, women, minorities, are going to know that you're a safe person to be around. and that you would protect them from that kind of thing. And that's something that those groups need as well, is to identify safe people and to know that they're not going to be faced with that kind of language when you're around. That's a benefit to you as well. You'll have people believing that you have better character than those other people. And there's a line you have to draw with people that says, I believe the things that you're saying are immoral. These beliefs are immoral. They degrade people, and I'm not okay with that. If you want to be in my presence, you're going to have to stop saying those things, or you can leave.
So then it is, you think it's justified for me to, because frankly, I mean, to be honest with myself, I'm not really going to be able to find much of a middle ground between, speaking to these people rationally and probably insulting them. Like I was saying earlier to Steve, I'm probably going to say things rudely and not objectively.
But you don't have to.
Okay, and that's acceptable in the sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen,
Absolutely.
the way you approach it from a very calm and rational place. Believe me, okay, my aunt is E. Jean Carroll, by the way. So I know how difficult it is to remain calm. I talk to these people all the time, and I'm the one usually keeping my cool, and they're losing it. So approaching it from like a calm, logical, rational point of view is definitely the way you should start. Now, if they come at you like all crazy, like obviously you have a right to defend yourself or whatever, but I honestly don't think getting like really ad hom with these people right off the jump, they're just going to turn their ears off immediately. You know that.
Yeah. 100%.
Yep.
So these
sorry,
people
go ahead.
need a friend, quote unquote friend, who's going to talk to them in a friendly way. That's the only way you're going to get a door open with these people. They're not listening to the ones that are screaming at them that they're terrible people. Yeah. Nobody listens to people who say that, especially young men with these points of view. That's the reason he doesn't have a girlfriend, right? Because he doesn't listen to anything other than what he already believes.
Right.
Especially if the people saying it are angry. And I'm not saying you're not justified in being angry. I'm angry. I'm just saying the tactic is not fruitful.
And Luke, I don't know if you noticed this, but as the chat's been going by, so many women have said we need more men like Luke because you're navigating through it. I mean, again, that may be to Amber's point. You've got a lot to gain by this as well. I've got 2 boys, one 23, one 21, and an soon to be 18-year-old daughter, and men your age have got to do better. They have to. I firmly prescribe to the theory that it is all men until it's no men. I think the male loneliness epidemic is bullshit. I think it's self-inflicted. I think what it's attempting to do is to create a situation where young men your age are victims. And I'm not saying that you prescribe to that theory, but unless people are called out and unless people like your friend's friend are challenged, what's their incentive to change, right?
Yeah, I definitely can see that. It's very fair.
And the other thing is they're not going to listen to women. Like they're not, right? No, like I could tell them in calm, methodical detail all the reasons with evidence and sources and all this. They don't. If they're already in this misogynistic mindset, it's in one ear and out the other. That's why we need men to talk to them, talk to their peers.
And somebody just asked a good question in the chat. Is your mom still living?
She is.
Luke? What would your mom say to you? Motherly advice. What would your mom say if she was the one you were talking to about this conversation and she knew everything that you've shared with us about this person? What would she say to you?
What are the terms of service on this? Am I allowed to swear on your live?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, yeah, she would say fuck those guys, drop them.
Can I add something here?
Yeah.
So I think this is really important. You're a young guy, right? You're 19. If I think back to when I was 19, I had just joined the Navy. I was as self-unaware and dumb as a box of rocks as humanly possible. But my frontal lobe hadn't fully developed.
Right.
and didn't understand the meaning of things I would say or how I would treat people. Taking the first step is admitting you're uncomfortable. The only way that goes away is by you taking action. Here's my advice, right? As a guy with children older than you.
Mm-hmm.
It is your moral responsibility as a human being on this planet to always be doing the right thing. And this is the best piece of advice I can give you. You should not care what other people do, say, or think about you, and it's none of your fucking business. You keep your side of the street clean. You stand on the moral high ground. And you know what? This is going to seem weird now, but when you're 58, I really hope you think back to this conversation and you go, holy shit, I had some real pieces of shit friends. Thank God I got rid of them when I did.
Yeah.
You don't collect friends. They're not comic books. And if people are in your orbit that are doing and saying things that are offensive and easily provable that they are offensive, do yourself a favor, kick them out. No one is allowed to be in your space. You set those terms, you set those boundaries. And then I'm going to say this to you. Man the fuck up and get it done. Just do it. Like, don't talk about it after today. Like, I want you to come back next week and be like, I kicked that motherfucker to the curb because he's a piece of shit. Right? Now, I can say that because I've done that and I'm 58 years old and I'm not 19. And I realize that I have the age of experience, right? But we are here also to encourage you to do the right thing. And it's not always going to be easy. But in my opinion, this is the easiest thing in life to do. Do not surround yourself by toxic people. Because if you continue to do so, if you continue to extend grace, who's actually getting hurt? The people that you love and respect, and then yourself. Is that worth it? Is one guy worth all of the pain that he causes? I submit no.
Okay. Yeah, that's I definitely I have nothing but agreement for everything that you have said. I guess then I just get to, I mean, I never keep any close friends like that. I couldn't even bear to speak to them because they just would make no sense all the time. But, you know, my close friends, obviously, we've even converted one of them who grew up in a pretty rural place and, like, educated him. He was open. He's intelligent. That's great. Everybody that I'm pretty close with, all on the same side as me, we have really good discussions about this kind of stuff. This guy is more of a mutual friend. I live with two other guys, and he's pretty close friends with both of them. You know, he's here most of the time in light of the fact that he's friends with both of them. So, you know, I guess if I'm holding true to my morals, I'm just going to have to tell him, you know, hey, man, I can't speak with you. If you're going to be here with them, it is what it is. I guess what I mean to get to is, do I also have an obligation to, I already know what the answer to this is going to be. You know,
an obligation to say something to your friends about why they're keeping this person around is what you're going to ask? Yes, you do.
That's exactly what I'm asking.
Yes, you do.
I think you do too.
I mean, you at least,
yeah, I agree.
I think you owe them a conversation about it if this is how you feel about it. I think that you should be like, listen, you've heard the stuff that he says, you know the beliefs he holds. Why are you still keeping this person in your proximity? I know.
Yeah, I mean,
I generally
know that's
subscribe to the
but see,
belief
again,
that,
these conversations are not happening enough with men your age. I think that's the point. I'm so excited for this conversation right now because these are the conversations that I want to have because, you know, I'm 57. I'm not as old as Obi and I never will be. But what I'm saying is I wish I had somebody I grew up in a different time, right? We were analog, and I'm very grateful for the influences that I had from my family. But outside of my family, there weren't a lot of positive influences specifically. So I certainly had bad behavior. I certainly participated in locker room talk when I was older. Thankfully, I had a very strong presence in my life, which was my mom that would kick my fucking ass, literally. And so what I'm hoping for you, whether it be this conversation or just through sort of self-awareness and self-reflection, that you're like, this is not the world that I want. This is not the world that I want. So I agree with Amber. It's almost like an obligation. It's really almost like an obligation. And look at it that way, though, like a good obligation, though. Like you want to change minds. Then you have to ask yourself, like, if they're not going to be willing to engage, then I've got to disengage, right?
I think that's very super reasonable. I think the only other thing that was holding me back was I used to, I guess my timeline is that when I was like a young teenager where I was pretty stupid, this is correlation, but I was very in the idea that, all these Republicans are really, really stupid. And then I thought I got older and was like, okay, but maybe it's not reasonable to hate these people because your political identity doesn't define you. And then I got a little bit older, which is, I guess, where I'm at now. And I'm kind of struggling to reconcile between, is your political identity or what your political beliefs, are those your identity? Can you be things outside of that? Or is it integral to who you are and how I perceive you? I guess that's where I kind of have a hard time.
Well, I think there's an easy answer to that question. The words that come out of people's mouths do define who they are. So you can even just put the voting record aside and listen to the beliefs they hold. That's how you know who they are, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, and to Amber's point, just to kind of pull on that thread a little bit more, I don't even look at it as political. It's just about your character. Like, what are your beliefs? Like, do you believe women? Do you not participate in locker room talk? It shouldn't matter, because there are pieces of shit, trash people, conservative assholes on the Democratic Party as well that womanize, that are misogynist. Andrew Cuomo comes to mind. It shouldn't be about your political identity. It should be about your human identity. What are things that matter to you? And if they matter to you, then the political affiliations are irrelevant.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I can definitely agree that there's a lot of overlap between like what you believe in and like, the overlap between your political identity and what your like human beliefs are, especially with the new emergence of this awesome MAGA party.
Yeah, right.
It's been so great. Thankfully, I don't have many people like that, but I go to an incredibly, I guess this is the last point that I'll make before I have to get back to work, right? But I'm not in a rush. I go to a very, very, like, abnormally white university. It's like 80% white. It's a public university. I don't go to like BYU or something. So that means that some of the jokes that people make, you see where I'm going, are...
I do.
Sometimes...
Racially charged.
Exactly.
Sexually charged. Misogynistically charged.
So,
yep.
I actually don't even see that many misogynistically charged jokes, but because of the racial disparity, people are more comfortable making jokes like that. And I struggle to tell the difference between, because I've got friends who they lean the same way that I do. And then they make jokes that I can tell are just, they don't reflect the way that they believe. And my immediate assumption to this is, okay, this is not something that you actually believe. You're making a harmless joke because you believe the same thing that I do. And I'm curious if that's another line where it's something that I've got to check to, because it perpetuates the real beliefs.
That's not harmless, but what it is an unconscious conditioning that we've been through our entire lives that allows us to see these things as innocuous, when to the people that they're aimed at, they're not. Right? So you don't have to get into like a 4-hour conversation every single time you hear something like this. You can simply say, that's not cool. That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, and also, Luke, this is not like we're trying to say that this is a purity test, but maybe in a strange way it is. What we're saying is that all these things that can be wrapped under the patriarchy and the diminishing of others and, the Christian nationalist movement, and I'm not putting you or your friends into this bucket. I'm just trying to make a point here. We have to stop excusing these things off as if they're jokes.
Yeah, and because the reason why is because that is step one in dehumanizing the people those jokes are aimed at.
Correct. Exactly. That's exactly right.
So then, for example, it does. So then, for example, probably like my closest friend, currently just got his first. I hope I don't get identified for this, but closest friend just got his first like service job. He is now, you could say he happens to observe, and I haven't been there, so I really couldn't say how much of this is true or not. He's made observations that a certain, some demographics of people happen to tip less than other demographics of people. From his experience, it has he grew up in a pretty like poor town with a lot of racial diversity. He's made some claims about, you probably see what I'm getting at here.
I know where you're going with that. Yep.
So to what extent are those just observations that he's making that aren't fair to generalize? I mean, how do these two things coexist, right?
I mean, that's a complicated question. So they talk about the tipping culture. Like there are communities in the world that don't tip. Like Canadians are known to respect as not to be the best tippers in the world, right? There's because it's not necessarily part of their culture. You don't tip in Europe. You don't tip in some, Caribbean nations. So other parts of the world can certainly influence that. The question then becomes, are you identifying somebody based on particular characteristics and then saying that group of people doesn't tip like others do, right? So I think that there's a lot of nuance to that particular point. I don't know if I would spend too much time on that unless he were to identify someone based on a characteristic as they enter the service establishment to say, oh, I can expect to not get tipped by that person because of X or Y or whatever.
So then is it unfair for him to generalize based on the statistics that he's like, or not statistics, but like based on the experience he's had, if a certain group of people doesn't tip him as much, is it not reasonable to assume that the trend might continue?
I think generalizing in general is dangerous. That's my own perspective on that. I'd be curious what Amber and Obi think. I just think because everybody, it's just like we talk about in terms of voting, not every demographic is monolithic. Everybody votes individually. Like we certainly know certain demographics vote a certain way, but not everybody in that demographic votes the same way. Similarly, not everybody from certain nations who don't have a tipping culture, they may tip. So I just don't think generalization is a very good thing to do in general. I don't like labeling people. I don't approach conversations initially with my mind focusing on how can I label this person. I'm going to allow the conversation to kind of drive my opinion towards things more than anything else. If I were you, I wouldn't be focused so much on that because that has got nuance to it. Instead, I would focus on what we were discussing before, calling out racially insensitive jokes.
Right.
Calling out bad behavior, calling out locker room talk, calling out disparaging comments made about women. That's where that's the movement. That's the movement, right? Because there's people that I know that are shitty fucking tippers that look just like me.
Yeah.
So, does that make sense?
It does.
I mean, I think I'm a white person, so I'm not going to try to speak for another community. But I would say that there are good reasons why some people don't tip as well as others. And I think a lot of it has to do with socioeconomic disparity that they grew up in. And
definitely
being taught, to hold on to that kind of cash. I mean, it may not seem like a big deal to you, but maybe it is to them.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point. I think what I can probably take away from this is that, I mean, there are a lot of actionable things that I heard from you guys. All of that's very valuable stuff, and I'll make sure to take that with me and, stop making those excuses. I hope to, make some progress, and at some point I'll definitely come back on live, and if you'll have me, I'll keep you, kind of...
Absolutely.
Any relevant updates about this kind of thing.
Yeah, please consider joining our Discord too. I just followed you. Yeah, please consider joining our Discord for sure.
before you leave.
Go ahead, Amber.
So you might not see like an immediate positive result from, you probably won't. In fact, you'll probably get angry responses. But like I said, if you approach it calmly, I think there's a chance that even if it goes badly in that moment, you've planted a seed that they might think about later.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, like, you have to be a good example, whether they react poorly or not. So I would just remember that, like, what exactly are you trying to accomplish here? You want to uphold your own morals in this situation. That's the whole reason that you care about this. And being an example to the people around you is probably the best way to teach other people why you feel the way that you do. And like I said, they may not react well, but the seed you plant could come back into their mind the next week or 10 years from now, right? And in addition to that, if you have, you know, like daughters someday, you can look back and think, like, I didn't stand for this, even when I was still a kid too. And my kids can trust me, right? Because this is how this whole cycle continues when quote unquote good men have daughters, but they don't push back on that stuff. They don't say it themselves, but they don't push back.
And I'll leave you with this, Luke, because I know you mentioned you have to go. Use your privilege. When I say you have white privilege, don't take that as offense, because we do. Use it. Use it to defend women. Use it to defend marginalized communities. Use it to call out bad behavior with people who look like you. That's what I want to see young men do in particular, to realize first that we have privilege and then use it. This has been a great conversation, Luke. I really appreciate you joining us. You got a lot of people in the chat that really love what you had to say, and then we want more young men like you. But you got to do the work, bro. Got to do the work. Yeah. I appreciate you being here, friend.
I appreciate that. And I'll, honestly, one day I'd be interested in kind of, I mean, I see the stuff that you do and how many minds you change, how many people you educate. It'd be nice for me to do something like that one day. I feel like my communication skills aren't the worst thing ever. And I kind of have a little bit of a teaching background. Yeah. It'd be cool, but you know, you attract a lot of scrutiny with that. I don't have the courage that you do.
I think you'd be surprised. If you want to come back and hang out and spend some time in the live, and we can help you build your space, because I want more voices. I would push back on what you're saying. We need people like you in your age group having these spaces for other men, especially in calling it out, and also showing women out there that there are men that realize that we're flawed, or we're just trying to be better. That's the message. Thanks for being here, bro. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Luke.
You got it. See you later. Take care.
All right, bye. Thank
Fucking yes.
Don't you wish we could have those conversations every day? Right?
I really, really do.
I mean, because think about it. That one person could change 10 people over time. Just that one person.
And those 10 change 10,
right.
And then those 10 change 10. That's exactly the point. It's the pebble in the pond, right, Amber?
Exactly.
I love you, friend. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much for letting me up. I was happy to be able to have that conversation with you guys.
And we're honored that you were here to join us. Thank you, friend. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Ultimately, this is kind of why we do this stuff, right? I mean, that at least I do. I can't speak for anybody else, but this is kind of why we have these conversations, right? Who knew that some, gray-haired dude with a bad back has the ability, I'm talking about myself, Obi, not you, has the ability to try to influence those young minds. I mean, I have my own kids, but when we have a platform like this and people are willing to listen, that's all we can ask for. We're going to make mistakes. We're not going to make mistakes. I'm not an arbiter as to what I will never describe myself as a good man. I'm not the arbiter for that. I'll let my actions speak for themselves. I know other people say that about me, and I take that very seriously, but I'm constantly aware of my microaggressions. I'm constantly aware of all the kinds of things as to how we walk around in the world and how we present ourselves. And I want to ask everybody in the chat, especially men, especially white men, use your privilege. Use it. Understand that you have it. Accept that you do, and use it to make a difference. I can assimilate pretty much in any community in our country. I could find my way in and be welcomed in many regards, right? So in those communities in particular, there's a lot of people who oppose the opinion that I have because they're people like the Luke's friend's friend. You go to those spaces and use your privilege. Remind people that it doesn't have to be this way. Why do you have to say such disparaging things about women? Why do you have to use racial jokes in the company of others? Why do you accept bad behavior from people and not call it out? Those are the conversations that we are all, at least I am, desperate to have. I don't want to, I'm not talking about changing minds politically necessarily. I'm talking about changing minds from a character perspective and from an emotional perspective, from a morality perspective. I don't need somebody to tell me that my morals come from God. Nope. They don't. They don't. I have a clear path as to what's important to me. Obi does. A lot of the friends that I know do. It's not influenced by my belief and or not belief. It's influenced by the fact that I don't want to be a shitty fucking person. But I've got my faults. I'm going to make mistakes. And I want people in my mod community and people in my friends, Obi, I want people to call me out because I want to be better. I want to be better. We should all want that.
And we should all demand that of each other, right? Absolutely. And it's I think having standards for friendship is not only acceptable, again, I think it's a moral imperative because if not, then we become complicit in those that we support. We become complicit in their behavior. And then we are guilty of doing the same thing even if we didn't utter it. Right? Exactly. Supporting is being complicit. And there's just, I can't see any way around that. And I think that's something that MAGA can't do. They can't understand how they'll be like, oh, well, not everyone in MAGA is a racist. Well, here's the perfect example. The reason why we say ACAB is because not all cops report other cops' bad doings. And until that happens, all cops are bad. So MAGA.
Yep.
Until you call out the racism and the bigotry uttered by people who may be your friends, you are complicit in that behavior, which means you are a supporter of that behavior, and we're going to hold you to the same standard.
Yeah, exactly. Like the evolution of men, like I know flat out that if I said to Obi, it's all men until it's no men, he's not going to get offended by that because he's going to be like, yeah, you're fucking right. And I'm part of the system. Don't forget, a system built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me. So that's why I say, use your privilege.
Yes.
Use it.
Yes.
Use it. Talk about power. Talk about power. And I'm sorry, but again, my own opinions. I think the male loneliness epidemic, first of all, is self-inflicted, and I think it's just an excuse for men to operate with bad behavior. So I don't buy into it. It's
just all that's bullshit. I'm sorry. Yeah. That is just made up bobbledygook, right? Because again, it awards them for not having to accept the consequences of being complicit.
Exactly.
But what do I know?
So no, but you're absolutely right. And again, we're fortunate because people in our age group in particular were not boomers. Let's be real. Gen X raised on neglect and hose water. I'm just saying. So our generation, Obi and I are, I'm not going to say unicorns, but a lot of people our age who look like us aren't as woke as we are. I mean, and I look at that as influence. I'm fortunate to grow up where I've grown up. I'm fortunate to have a lot of really strong, the most influential voice in my head, in my life, was my mom. It's not even close. Not even close. An Italian-American mother, smartest person I've ever known. All she had to do was look at me and the blood would drain from my body. Yeah. Seriously. Like, she didn't even have to utter a word. And when she did say something, it wasn't that she was angry. She'd be like, Stephen. I'm like, oh, shit, Stephen.
Oh, the full name.
I'm incredibly disappointed in you. And I'd be like, fuck. So it was always a check for me, and whatever that would be. Like, you don't ever want to disappoint. Most people don't want to disappoint the people that you care about. You don't want to let them down. You don't want to feel like you've, disappointed them. And that was fuel for me. I remember participating in some of that locker room talk when I was a kid. I played sports all through high school and college. I was around it my whole life. I didn't really start calling it out until I was in college. Because I realized, like, that's fucking bullshit. Why the fuck would you say something as despicable as that? It took me that long to I understood that I didn't like it, but it took me that long to call it out. And I've been calling it out ever since. And I always will. So I would encourage other people. Again, like I am a Virgo. Sounds like a mom of a Virgo. Yes, I'm a Virgo. My mom was not. But I just want to encourage people to use their privilege more. And I'm going to be very, very careful how I say this. For women, non-binary individuals, I am not asking you to give men grace. I am not asking you to give them grace. I'm certainly not going to do that because I believe it is all men until it's no man. And I would not expect any of you to trust any man that you come in contact with. But if you see men working on themselves, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I'm not asking anybody to give them any grace. That's certainly not what I'm suggesting. But if men are going to work on themselves, and if we want them to be better, then we have to acknowledge the fact that they're trying to be better. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. On that subject, since we're talking about it now, I saw breaking news that it looks like the Department of Justice will be interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell in jail. We'll talk about that perhaps tomorrow. But I'm going to play this sound. This kind of speaks to what we're talking about a little bit. So there's some trigger warnings in here, but just please just bear with me as we get through this.
I'm not saying that your husband should slap you down, but if your husband slaps you down and you call the cops, you're evil.
So this is Pastor Steve Anderson, who has a very popular belief within Christian fundamentalism that a woman should not call the cops on her husband, even if he's abusing her. She should not divorce him if he's abusing her. And this is John Anderson, Steve Anderson's son, talking about the first time he remembers his father beating his mother.
And I remember it was Easter Sunday, and we were all standing out in the front yard dressed up, and I could hear it happening for the first time.
And again, this is very popular in Christian fundamentalism and Christian nationalism. So they rely heavily on the Old Testament, which only allowed for a man to get divorced and could get divorced for any reason, leaving the woman impoverished most of the time. It's Jesus who changed the parameters of divorce to protect women. But Christian fundamentalists at a core level do not believe a woman should be able to vote. They believe her husband should vote for her. They do not believe a woman should be hell-bent on pursuing education because they believe a woman should get married young, have kids young, and support and serve her husband, even though this puts her at risk for elder poverty later on. They do not believe in female bodily autonomy. They do not believe in marital rape, and they do not believe on a core value about consent because women have no agency. Your virginity and your body belongs to your father until it is given to your husband later on. But they can't come out and say these things because they wouldn't get the vote. So we see this politically in different ways. No-fault divorce, which they were very clear in Project 2025 they're going to get rid of. They can't come out and say they're going to get rid of it. Women would push back. So what do? They get rid of the resources that help women leave abusive husbands. SNAP benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, social services, even domestic violence shelters. Even in Oklahoma, they're getting rid of domestic violence shelters to put women in positions where they can't leave. Things like voting. They're not going to come out and say you can't vote. They're going to pass the SAVE Act, which means you have to get a passport they know most women don't have. She might not have access to resources to be able to buy it. It's a poll tax for married women to be able to vote. And even in the political spectrum, because they need women's free labor in order to push their agenda, they need women's votes, but they can't exclude women entirely. So they strategically place women like Caroline Leavitt, Kristi Noem, so that women think, oh, we're included in this movement. What those women are, they are the spoonful of sugar that helps a bitter medicine go down, that these people on a core level believe that you are less than men. They do not believe in women's equality. They do not believe in marital rape. They do not believe in consent, which is why they don't necessarily care about having abortion exceptions for rape and incest, because they still believe at a core level it's the woman's fault, it's a man's entitlement, and that a woman's body belongs to men. And remember that marriage counseling within the Christian community was founded by Paul Popenoe, who was an atheist, a white supremacist, and a eugenicist. And the only people that were radical enough to latch onto his ideas were evangelical pastors. And he taught them to teach that white women should never marry out of their race. They should not get divorced for any reason, that birth control was evil and against God's will. And he mentored James Dobson, who is the father of Christian family counseling.
So yeah, that's a Montemader, Montemadader. I follow them on Instagram. That is why the conversation that we had with Luke is so incredibly important. Real quickly, I just want to thank Rainy Ray for your $100, saying you hope this helps. You're my favorite creator. Thank you so much for saying that. That's incredibly kind. No fear for overfunding public education. Sheila, thank you so much, sweetheart. Appreciate you for their 20. Brett, buddy, I got you earlier. You guys are all amazing. I really appreciate your kindness. Jennifer, thank you for your $5. Victoria, thank you, friend. Tina, Michelle, Jennifer, Dana, you're so sweet. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you all very, very much. I find it ironic. I'm not even sure if that's the right word, that we are here now with the Epstein situation and what we've known for a very long time, that this is the thing that finally peels people from their full-throated support for Trump, when it's something that we've known all along, but because they were sold a bill of goods, believing that it was people like Barack and everybody else, all the Democrat elites that they claim to care about, that suddenly it's now Trump. Not that they're willing to admit that he's on the list, but why has he not? Hold on. Why has he not released the list is the question. Sister, you had requested, did you want to, what's on your mind? Did you, Sister's Keeper, how are you today? Frankie, you're wrong about that. Sister's Keeper, you want to unmute your mic? I'll send you the invite. Frankie, you mean Barack was friends with Epstein? No, they were not friends, my guy. You might have requested by accident. But you know what I mean? It's like this is the thing that got us that got us here. This is a thing where you get pushback from Glenn Beck and others. This is the thing now when everything else they just excused off. They excused off rape. They excused off sexual assault. They excused off all these things. And it takes this conspiracy theory that they've contrived in their minds to maybe be the final. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
Good morning. I love that you were talking about this, because I literally was having this conversation about how the Bible and religion is based in misogyny and oppression. And
patriarchy.
Unsurprised that this is a thing. And, as a woman running for office, I experienced this. I literally have videos from a couple of years ago of there were certain questions. I'll go back actually further. So I never legally changed my last name. The plan was to change my last name. And then, of Victoria and I experienced a situation where people were judging us and making horrendous comments, like I was more likely to cheat because I never changed my last name, that he is a beta male because he didn't force me to change the last name, et cetera, et cetera. And, it was funny. Nobody asked my relationship. It was always my relationship to him and my role as his wife. It was never, I'm this individual person who could have my own last name, et cetera, et cetera. And consequently, we both have given a middle finger to the world, and I'm never going to change my last name. Even though people bring it up all the time about what am I going to do with my children, blah, blah, blah. They know that my name is Victoria Broderick. Both my children can say my entire name. They can say their dad's name too. So this idea, and it's so deep rooted in our society. Like the questions I get asked as a female politician, because it's nobody ever asks a man who's watching their children. Nobody ever asks a man how they're going to handle this situation. Like no one. But I get those questions from Republicans and Democrats because patriarchy and misogyny is deep rooted in both parties. And so when I hear these things and how they're trying to sell this to us, I'm not surprised. They want us back in the kitchen. They want people like me having cute little white babies running all around with no other options at my disposal.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you bring it up from a political perspective, Victoria. And you and I have talked many times about this. And by the way, just so you all know, Victoria has checked me on shit, and I've checked her on shit. That's what friends do. Okay, that's what we do. And neither one of us were offended.
All the time. Yeah.
Same thing with Obi. I've checked him on shit. He's checked me on shit. Nobody gets offended because we want to do better. But you bring up an interesting point, especially as a woman who's never served in public office, who's running for office. You have to justify the time you're taking to run for office. Like, that. Yeah, I mean, and then the whole, in a strange, I mean, this is why the bizarre world that we're in. I'm not going to say I find myself agreeing with Candace Owens, but some of the things that she's been saying lately, specifically as it relates to Epstein, you're like, shit, Candace, are you finally seeing the light? She has been someone who's gone out and diminished women, saying women, the best choice for women to make is to stay home, get pregnant, crank out babies. Meanwhile, she's living the life that she criticizes other women having. She's got a career. She's got kids. She's got a family. She's doing both, but other women can't. Victoria can't do that. Amber can't do that. People in our mod community can't do that. This is why that conversation with Luke was so fucking important. That's why.
I'm so mad. I'm so sad that I missed the Luke conversation because,
You can watch it on YouTube, by the way. If you guys don't subscribe to YouTube, please consider doing so.
I'll do that later because when I miss your voice, because you're my favorite, person on TikTok right now.
Appreciate you.
But it's women are just as capable of internalizing patriarchy and misogyny and just spewing it out. I mean, I've done it. I've done it, as I've deconstructed and made sure that I'm, unpacking that shit. I have to unpack it. Like, when I was a little girl, I thought I thought my path was to be a mother. I knew that from a young age that I wanted to be a mother. And I couldn't understand anyone who didn't want children. And now as a grown-up who has two tiny humans, if anyone ever tells me, they're like, I'm not interested, you do not have to justify it to me. I don't need you to justify. Kids be doing the most. And it is the most selfish decision a parent will ever make is to have a child because they have no say in who you are as a parent. They have no say in your political beliefs, how the socioeconomic situation that you'll be bringing them into, and all the things that fall into it. So I'm never going to judge someone who decides not to have children. I'm never going to disparage them. And as I've gotten older, I realized that our society told me that my only role, my only value in life was what my magic portal could do. That's the role that was literally beaten in me at teachers said it. I literally was just having coffee with a high school classmate, and we talked about how teachers disparaged us, females and male teachers alike. Men, I can remember several male teachers saying that my husband would fix my mouth. I remember having, a female teacher tell me that my husband would make those decisions and my political leanings would be my husband's political leanings. And now of Victoria, he comes along like a good husband because he supports me and he understands what I face as a woman every single day. The other conversation we had this morning is I would have never run for office before I had my gender affirming care because nobody would take me seriously. Nobody would take me seriously if they had seen the size of my breast. They would see my blonde hair. They would see me and they would say, well, your brain must be in your chest. Because I've had those comments my entire life. I remember the first time I was hypersexualized. I was 13 years old outside of a movie theater and grown men pulled up and asked me to give them a quickie. Like, this is the environment that we live in. This is and my story is not unique it's not unique, and it just hasn't stopped. No matter how old I've gotten, it's never stopped. And when we see Republicans trying to go do the undertow thing of, you look at this beautiful ocean of like, oh, here we are. There is a dark undertow pulling you out to sea, and that is their That is their goal. Their goal is to put us back in the kitchen, make sure that we are chained to having as many babies as we can pop up. Only white babies, though. They don't want any other colors, and making sure that we are disenfranchised, because it means that they can grab more power. It means that they can do more, and we'll be in our places because, who's the person who said, if we could snap our fingers and do it, we would take away the women's right to vote, because women hold the key to all marginalized communities and their rights.
Oh yeah, that Christian nationalist, I forget his name. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
They're saying it with their whole chest. And look, there was some asshole in the chat. You can be a politician without being elected official. I hate to break it to you. Google told me that I was a politician. Google defines me as a politician.
I mean, oftentimes, we never, as you guys know who tune in regularly, and thank you all. This has been great today. We never know where our conversations are going to go. I'm always hopeful that we're going to find people like Luke, which is part of the reason that I do this every single day. But we've got to call it out. We've got to say it. We got to call it out as to what it is. Project Esther. We went through Project Esther yesterday. It's another example, right? How women do not matter in our society. If we were in a position where we believed women, we wouldn't be where we are with the Epstein list. We wouldn't have to be, Amber wouldn't have to go through the pain of hearing her aunt dragged through the mud every day if we believed women. Why is it so hard? Now, people are going to say, well, women lie. Okay, sure. But as a society, we don't believe women. We don't. We diminish them. We treat them like subservient, second-class, handmaid's tale individuals. Mm-hmm. And then you add any other marginalization to that category, and what do they have? It's the fight every day. We talk about this all the time. Every fucking time we ask black women to show up to help save us from ourselves, they do it. What do we do for them? What do we do? We, the collective we. I can only speak for myself. What do white men do to support black women? Not a fucking thing. That goes for conservatives on the left as well. That goes for the fucking pearl-clutching leftists who claim to support everything, all the righteousness that they have. Fuck all y'all. What the fuck do you do for black women? They show up every goddamn time. Every time. And you know what? They'll show up again. And what do we do? What do? We diminish them. We treat them like shit. We talk down to them. Or, what's almost even worse, we don't do a damn thing to help. We stay quiet. We stay silent. Mm-hmm. Nothing. We let them down. That's why these conversations are important. That's why I say it's all men until it's no men. That's why I say it's all white people until it's no white people. Mm-hmm. If you want the future, I've got 35, maybe 40 years left. Every fucking day, my fight is based on when I look at my kids, and I don't want them to grow up around this hatred. I don't. I'm one person. I live in an area that doesn't exist, apparently. But again, I want things to be different, and I want to challenge people to be different. And if you get uncomfortable, good. I'm not going to apologize for it. You don't like the fact that I'm going to call out your bullshit? You don't like the fact that I say it's all men until it's no men? Guess what? You're part of the fucking problem. Mm-hmm. Do better.
I mean, and we even witnessed it on this app, Steve.
Michael Ferris, for example, you said, I'm a blatant liar. You keep insisting that Trump is a 34-time felon on misdemeanors, MISTERMEANRERS. Misdemeanors. Just saying.
And we witnessed it on this app. We witness on this app every day. The men in the comments who come up and, talk shit to women, they come up and say the most heinous things. And you know who catches a violation? The women. When we call them things like cupcake. I caught a live ban for saying some of the things I've said. And men have told me the most heinous things on this app. and they never see the repercussions of it. Even this app prioritizes white male creators.
Yeah, sorry, Victoria. No, Pops Van Bergen, I'm calling him out on his spelling. That's one thing, but the fact that you guys still think that Trump is not a 34-time convicted felon is part of the problem. By the way, Hulk Hogan passed away. Just noticed that from TMZ.
I hope he enjoys hell.
Agreed. Yep. So, and I know that Obi's been very transparent about the fact about bad behavior as a kid and some of the same things, off-color comments that should not be considered, that are just not acceptable. And me too. But that's why we're doing the fucking work. That's why we're trying to be better. And you know what? I'm not gonna toot my own horn here, but I'm happy in my own skin. I know who I am. I don't apologize for it. I'm not everybody's flavor. I'm Victoria's flavor, but that's a different conversation. Entirely different conversation. But again, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm a good man. I am not the arbiter for that shit. I'm going to fucking earn it. And if I'm not doing enough, then I want somebody to tell me more. Because this is a fight. This is not a political fight. This is a morality fight. And I am so fucking tired of the Christian right claiming that you have morals. You vote for predators. You support predators. You defend predators. And you think your moral path is clear? Miss me with your fucking bullshit.
No.
Miss me.
And I mean, look, one of them was like, oh, poor you. Hey, Pops, get fucked, stay fucked. Sucks to suck.
Exactly. Exactly.
That micro thing that you've got between your legs is a real telling factor. The fact that you're on the internet saying the stupid ass shit that you're saying.
Yeah. Again, these conversations should be uncomfortable. I want them to be. I want people to question it. I want people to be called out during my lives. So many of you criticize and complain about me every single day, but you show up. What is it? Is it the baby blues? Is it the tapered beard?
It's the silver facts.
Is it the eloquence? Is it my brain? What is it? You're here every day. So apparently maybe something is sneaking through. You don't want to admit it to your friends. I want you to be uncomfortable. I want you to question it. I want you to leave this live so fucking angry that you got called out by a lib, because I want it to resonate and I want it to sink into your Cro-Magnon fucking brain. Victoria, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Today's a great day to be an activist, and activism is a muscle. I'm going to also challenge every single person in this chat to support a female creator today. Go and sit in her live and tap, tap, tap. Give a gift if you can. Comment as much as you can, because those things are free. And, we need that. We need to show that you understand what we're saying today and give it a go, because every single one of us is in this fight. And if you're feeling extra froggy, your girl is running for Congress. And I personally will be putting an enema through the state and federal level, because I am so over the idiots that are allowed to be represented in office that it's not acceptable to me. So, yeah, I'm going to do the enema thing. I'm going to keep calling out my state senator, Janice Folling, because she's an idiot. And then I'm going to call out Scott Desjardins, who also decided that the Epstein files were not good enough to release, but that tracks for him. So, yeah, if that sounds froggy to you and you like a fighter and someone who might say a couple of cuss words, I'm your girl. And as always, stay hydrated and vote blue.
Love you, friend. Appreciate you. Obi, final thoughts, buddy.
We are never in 1,000 million gajillion per capita years. There was some Jess math. Shout out Jess math.
1,100,000?
Yeah.
Yep.
Per capita. We're never going to be able to convince MAGA of anything. And you know what? I'm okay with that. So don't think that we're up here trying to convert people. We don't want you. You are complicit in so much bad behavior that, like we told Luke, the young man that was up here before, it's our moral imperative to kick you to the curb. So, whilst sitting on there like the pile of trash that you are, just remember, you can come here and chirp in the comments all you want. All that does is help keep this live on everyone's FYP. So for that, I thank you and wish you the very best day.
I appreciate you, buddy.
Love you.
Okay, so lots that we covered off on today. We'll obviously my commitment to you guys is that we will report on the news the way in which we do it. What I try to do, my process is such that I'm like, okay, what's this means what, and how does it connect to this? So that's why I oftentimes sort of, elaborate, because I want to make sure you're understanding the entire context. Oftentimes I will share what my opinion is, and I'll be very clear about what my opinion is. I have no problem doing that. I will also back things up that I say with evidence. I research it. I will try to find my sources. And again, I am so very fortunate to have the best mods in the fucking business who put me in line, who call my shit out, who tell me that I'm not even allowed to go into my own lair. If you know, you know. Different conversation. Anywho, it's important. This stuff is important. This is why we do it, and I want to make sure that people are aware of that. So when I call you out for things, even friendlies, I call people out all the time. I had a heated conversation with someone who's been following me for a very long time, challenging their belief set on things. I'm not going to apologize for that because I want the world to be better. I love you guys. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Antifa Friday. We'll do our segment called Unexpected Angels. And then tomorrow night, we will be doing an edition of Facts After Dark. Topic to be determined, but I have a pretty good idea what I might do. But you guys have to tune in tomorrow. Yes, Victoria, you have a question?
I just wanted to remind you not to end up in a vice later.
Whatever. I'm never gonna live that one. I'm never gonna live that one down. That's for sure.
Love you.
I love you too, friend. I love you too. You did. Oh, Jesus. It doesn't. Yeah, you're out of here. Get the hell out of here. Get out of here. We're going to go raid our friend Emma. Hi, Emma. You guys know Emma, EMMA. Please tell her we said hello. And I love y'all. Obi, I love you, buddy.